Good evening, guys. I know I'm a little bit late. I actually suck on two levels. One, I originally had this listed as 7 o'clock for some stupid reason, so I had to change the time on it. And then we had some technical difficulties. So I want to say thank you to the guys that are in the chat that have been bearing with us. We're fishermen. I mean, I'm an IT guy, but not all of us are. And we are here now. So I have a special guest. You guys may recognize him. I'm sure you've seen his videos. Anybody who follows my channel has probably seen his. But Mr. Bass and Beer is hanging out with us. I'm going to let him kind of introduce himself real quick, and then we're just going to get into talking some fishing. And I think it kicked over to him. Can you hear me now?
There I'm here. Yep. All right. What's going on, guys? Josh Sharp, Bass and Beer on YouTube. So, yeah, do a lot of kayak fishing, a lot of tournament fishing, and love it. Absolutely love it, man. So I'm happy to be joining you here tonight. So got the house alone, so perfect time to get on here and hang out. So,
what's funny is the podcast thing for me is I started doing it mostly because I saw Ruds and it looked like fun just interacting with all the people. But it was really like being up here in the north. I just needed something to do in the wintertime when I can't fish. And being a content creator, as I'm sure you know, like you get like to a point where there's no content to be made when it gets to be bad. So this kind of gave me like something to put on the internet. And I kind of almost enjoy this more than the fishing sometimes because I get to meet people. Like, I mean, I would have no reason to have a 3.5 hour conversation with Alex Rudd or Mikey Balls or some of these guys, like I would have no reason to talk to them otherwise. And as soon as you say, hey, you want to come on the internet, talk fishing, everybody wants to jump on and talk fishing on the internet. So it's kind of a perfect opportunity to get people on.
It gives us all something to talk about, man. I mean, like I said, we could sit here and talk. Well, we all do, you watch all these podcasts and, these guys get on there and talk for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, straight fishing.
Have you been doing? Do you guys probably started tournaments, or have you started those yet? You guys are like into your tournament season.
We basically do. I don't think we stop. We fish basically all year. So I mean, we'll fish up until like October, November, and then the next month the next season starts. So 2023, we'll fish. Our last tournament of the season will be say September, October. The very next month, the 2024 season starts, and we start November and we go all the way up again. So we basically never stop. It's just all year round here in Tennessee. We fish spring, summer, fall, and winter. So we never really freeze over here.
See, that's the thing I got to do. Like, that's one of the reasons why I really want to move south, to be honest, because I have an off season. So I did fish 2 weeks ago, but this is how volatile our weather is. 2 weeks ago, I went out and caught my first largemouth of the year, right?
Yeah.
The following Tuesday, we got 16 inches of snow. Like, I went from fishing in my kayak, and granted, I was wearing like bibs and having the dress a little bit warmer, but I was fishing in my kayak, open water, there was skim ice 4 days later and 16 inches of snow.
I couldn't do it, man.
And this morning, all the snow's gone. And it's supposed to be 50 this weekend. The weather is so screwed up this time of year up here, and it fucks the bass up. Like, they go from like, at that point, it was 45-degree water. So cold, but getting closer to that 50 where they start getting active. And then it went to skim ice. So it's probably back down to low 40s, maybe even lower than that in some places. So it's like the bass get like so close and then back down again.
I'd lose my mind, man. Like I said, I fish all year round here. We get snow, and I think we had 9 inches this year is the most we got. But I guarantee you I was out there fishing on the river, because even with all that snow. As long as that ramp, I could access it, I'm out there. Snow on the ground. I'm still getting it. So all year round. I catch some really big fish in the wintertime too.
Alex was telling me he had so much snow in his yard, he was using his shoalie and sliding down his yard in it. He was using it as a sled. Hey, I was like, that is the funniest.
I've got a big hill out in front of my house. It's the road though, but I drug that shoalie out there and tried to send the kids down it. It just wouldn't. I couldn't get it to slide. It wouldn't work, but I did do it. I drug it down through there.
It definitely would be something I would do for sure. I don't have a hill big enough in my lawn to do it, but yeah, it's so
I'm
you
gonna
guys
try to
don't
turn.
get any off season. What's up?
Oh, okay, hold on.
No,
I
you're
try to
good.
turn I try to turn the chat on my phone. It won't work. So
Oh yeah, it's weird. Like I noticed with the phone, it does some funky stuff. I'm also doing like the
yeah,
vertical orientation thing because it shares it on Shorts feed, so we tend to get more people in here too. But
not to mess up the live here, but let me try to flip my phone and see what happens.
you're good. It might do it from there.
Does that work? Or
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
did it do me funky on the screen here?
It narrowed you up, but that's fine, dude. It looks good to
Okay.
me. I
Yeah,
am the
I
farthest
can see
from
you better.
I'm the farthest from like I'm the most least detailed oriented when it comes to this tech stuff, which is funny because my actual career is like tech support. I work for a software company. So I'm like a certain like I'm staring at you. There's 4 monitors here. Like I have
Ah,
the whole freaking gaming setup. Like I have an Xbox, 4 gaming monitors, like it's but I also don't care because at the end of the day, in my opinion, as long as the audio sounds good,
yeah.
most people when they do a podcast, they're not really watching to see my face the whole time. They're just listening to it while they're doing
Listening,
stuff.
yeah. Well, I see everybody's got all these fancy microphones and stuff all the time. I'm over here with a cell phone plugged up to a little external battery with the charger in it, and yeah,
Yeah.
ah, it's
That's
all right.
actually a gaming mic. So it's actually designed for gaming, but for podcasting for gaming, but I just it's
Trying to
just
read
one
some
of
of the
those
comments
things.
there.
Yeah, no, these guys are so we got Scott Vermonter. I saw Michael Bradley was in here earlier. I don't know if he bailed out on us or not, but he's usually in here. John Wilson's actually down in Georgia, so closer to
Not too
you
far.
than I am.
Yeah, yeah, not too far.
And but it's what's
I've
crazy
actually
about.
I've
Sorry, go ahead.
actually fished in Georgia just a little bit, right on the
Oh,
line,
really?
floating one of the little rivers with John, catching largemouth and some coosa bass and stuff. We floated the Tennessee Georgia line down through there, so really fun trip.
You know, that's always what's funny to me about this fishing industry stuff too, and the content creation is like, for those guys that are watching, for everybody out there, when he's like, "Oh, I was fishing with John," he means creek fishing adventures. Like, probably the third
Yeah,
biggest YouTuber that I watch, and that's
yeah.
only because I watch some other guys that are not in the fishing space. But for fishing, to be honest, I think maybe next to Tactical Bass, and he's probably the second biggest as far as like
Crazy too,
popularity.
man. It's wild. John is just the most normal, down to earth dude. Channel
Yep.
is just there's nothing fancy about it. He goes out and he fishes. That's
No,
it.
it's funny.
I think that's how I am too. I just go out, I
Right.
record, I fish, and that's it. Keep it simple.
You know, it's funny about the content side is like what I think is the best part about it though is like your channel. I watch your videos. I watch John's. Obviously, I watch Rudd's. Rudd's is probably the most commercial of the three of us, really. But that's just because he's been doing it for so long that he kind of has a flow and a routine. Whereas John's entire premise of his channel is just let's go get into trouble in the creek. Like that's his whole
Yeah.
like premise. So like
Alex
he's
is a
kind of needs to be raw.
yeah, Alex is a businessman. So everything he does is business. He's smart. He gets
Yep.
on there. Everything's business. John is just like, hey, we're going fishing.
Yeah,
Alex
I'm
is
gonna
the same
strap a
way, but
camera and we're gonna go.
Alex is very business oriented, man. He's the man.
Yep.
Both of those guys become two of my best friends, as in fishing wise. We
I'm
have a freaking
hoping
blast.
to I'm hoping to fish with those guys because I heard they're going up to that Susquehanna Adventure Series event in
Mhm.
PA in August. And
Yep.
I heard he said he was going up, but of course Alex always kind of has like you said, he's a businessman. Sometimes it's like, you know, that's his plan, but if somebody offers him, a bunch of money to go film something somewhere else, and he's got to go where the money is too. But
Yeah.
the thing I like about those guys, and that's something that's probably a good topic to have, like just to have a random conversation about, is I really hate like Mike Iaconelli's channel, for example, because it's so clearly an infomercial. Like I like some of the information he provides, and some of that is valuable, but I hate watching these videos where these guys are like, "Oh, you need to use a lose with this reel, this rod, and this line. It's the only way to catch fish. And I'm like, no, like I
I
like
don't watch
seeing the
a lot of
raw
people.
fishing guys. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree.
I hate like how Alex does it is actually genius. Because when he's plugging a product he believes in, but he doesn't like he just is like, look, I caught another fish on the money badger. He holds it up to the camera, throws it in the lake, holds up the fish, and continues fishing. Like that to me is the best way to present like baits and products and stuff. Is like I want more organic videos because a lot of the I have actually stopped watching a lot of YouTubers because of the way they've clearly gotten to pushing product and they're not doing it in a way that's like I watch your channel and you're just fishing, but like you'd be surprised how many people will watch and they'll zoom in to see what rod you're using, they'll zoom
Yeah.
in to see what bait you're using, and then they'll go buy it. So you're still moving stuff, but
Yeah, I don't
it's
talk a lot
not like
about the rods and stuff like that. So I do work with some companies, batteries, and I have people that send me products and like, hey,
yeah,
boots and stuff. And I always tell them like, I don't like doing dedicated videos on a pair of boots or something. People don't like watching that crap. But I
yeah,
also love free stuff. I need these
yeah,
100 amp hour batteries I run from lead time. You know, I don't want to go spend $600-700 on these batteries. I reach out.
yeah,
I've been working with them for a couple years. If you all send me these batteries, I'll use them when I install them. I'll shoot some video of that and I'll talk about those batteries some. That's how I
yeah,
try to do it. But you still have if you're going to work with companies, you have to put that little plug out there. You don't like
yeah,
I hate doing it, but I got to do it sometimes.
yeah.
But like you said, Alex is good at it. That dude, like I said, that dude's smart. So
He sneaks it in there. So do you guys have this is something that I've kind of wondered. So is it all moving water down by you, or do you have a bunch of small ponds and
oh
lakes
dude,
that you guys just don't
we no
fish?
yeah no we fish. I fish a lot of lakes too. We fish a ton of
Okay.
lakes. I mean, we are surrounded buy stuff down here. So within
Gotcha.
within an hour, not even an hour, 30 minutes, I could go to Cherokee Lake, Douglas Lake. I could go to Melton Hill Lake, Norris Lake. Fort Loudon is within 5 minutes.
Okay.
Tellico, you've got 45 minutes. You've got Watts Bar. An hour and a half or so, you've got Chickamauga. I mean, dude, I'm right in the
Gotcha.
middle of tons of lakes, but with all of these lakes, you've got all these rivers and streams and creeks. I feel like I live in one of the best places ever for fishing.
That's
It's
cool.
unbelievable. It's crazy. And then I go out with John and Alex and we go to these little crazy rivers and creeks and I'm just like, holy crap. It would take us an entire lifetime to even fish half this stuff that just right here in Tennessee. It's
Right.
unbelievable. John
See,
really goes out there and he finds that stuff.
yeah. That's how I fish. So it's funny because my buddy from Canada that does YouTube too, he's from Montreal. So he'll come down to Vermont to fish with me. And I I keep telling him I'm like as soon as my kids graduate from school, I'm going down to like Tennessee. I don't want to go to Florida. I don't want to deal with Florida, but like Tennessee's like that perfect line where you guys do get seasons, like not like we
Yeah.
do here, but like it does get colder in the fall.
Mhm.
There is a little bit of a temperature change, but you can fish all year. And
Yeah.
like for me, it's like I realize how spoiled I am also here though, because I actually prefer it's similar but different to what you do is like I prefer fishing a lot of the smaller ponds, like the 200-acre ponds, 180-acre ponds instead of fishing Lake Champlain, which is 20 minutes
Yeah.
from my house. Like I'm fishing I that's the thing that's like for you it's Chickamauga. Like there's those lakes in every state that like is a bucket list lake for a lot of bass fishermen that I'm like that's the lake. Like I don't even want to go there because when I get there, there's 40 boats in that ramp that are all filled with idiots that are drinking, and I don't want to deal with it. I would rather go to the pond that's 20 minutes from my house that I still can catch 5 and 6 pounders
Yeah.
and not have to deal with all the bullshit on
We
the big
we
lake.
we've
So
got a like a high reservoir lake here, like kind of up in the mountains, like right up in the Smokies. There, it's called a Chohowie Lake. It's literally
okay,
5 miles long, but it's amazing, crystal clear. It's got really good fish in it. We got Dale Hollow here, a little bit further. That's some
yep,
world record smallmouth. We have, dude, it's freaking unbelievable. so many rivers, creeks. It's insane.
Yeah.
I love it here. I could
Yeah,
fish
it's
if I was like
crazy.
loaded. I could fish every day of the. I could fish every day and probably go to a different body of water just constantly.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I always see like I know Alex like sometimes will be tricky too with his film, and like sometimes he doesn't show where he's actually fishing when he's drone fishing. But I've like tried to figure out
I try my
sometimes where
best.
he's at.
I try,
It's
but the guys, especially local guys, they find it.
yeah, yeah,
They find it. You'll show up. You'll show like I'll put out a video, freaking just wrecking them. Do it, killing it. I'll show up 2 days later, maybe the next day after I put out a video, and those guys will be there. Like, and I swear,
yeah,
I'm not even joking. I'll look on the rods. Like if I'm killing them on a fire crawl, bladed jig, or
yeah.
something. I'll roll up to these guys. I'll be talking to them. Oh, what are you doing over here? And I'll look, and I'll be like, oh, there's that fire crawl. They
Dude,
watch it, but it's okay though. I know it's going to
that's
happen.
funny.
I
Yeah,
try to hide it. My main thing is like some of the tournaments. I've got a video right now
yeah.
that's going to upload Saturday. I fished a tournament this weekend up on Cherokee. I won a Bass Nation event up there a few years ago at a certain area.
Yeah.
Now it gets fished. It gets fished hard. I went up there again this weekend in a local tournament to use it for pre-fishing. I ended up getting third. And then this weekend, a couple days, this Saturday coming up is another Tennessee Bass Nation event up there. So I'm holding on to that video to upload it. That way, I had a buddy
I
drive by my.
learned the hard way.
Yeah, it happens, and it's happened to me. I had some guys that did some shady stuff to me after that tournament. Like they would go up there to the lake and fish, and they would like catch fish, and then they would tag my area, like the area I was at. They would be like, "Oh, caught these fish," and they would tag that area just to try to blow it up. It was like, why are y'all doing that crap for?
Wow.
Like, yeah, just being shady.
That's funny. Yeah,
And then
so I did it one time. I did a pre-fishing video, so I thought it would be cool, right? So before I went to a tournament, I released this video and I recorded like I like did map study. So I sat there with like the contour map and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna work my way around this shoreline, and this is the reason. And I did that during a KBF tournament. And I wasn't even like I didn't have that many subscribers at that time, and I thought like no one was really watching my channel. And then I went to like the KBF event, and like like two or three guys like were literally following the pattern that I like had drawn, and I was like, holy shit! Like I can't. So I don't release. Literally release. I'm probably actively fishing the next event when that first event hits. Like my first event this year is the 28th of April, right? That
yeah,
video will probably hit around like Mother's Day, and by then I'll already be fishing the second event, so that way it's like always an event behind.
yeah.
So which is
I
funny too,
try to do
because when
the
you
same stuff.
post those, two people will congratulate you on your win, and you're like, "What? I lost," and I'm like, "Oh, last event."
Yeah. Alex says it right though about those guys like that watch you. They want to know where you're at. He always says it. I don't know exactly how he says it, but like he don't want guys watching him for where he's fishing.
Yeah,
He wants guys to watch Alex Rudd for Alex Rudd. Like watch my
yep,
videos, watch me fishing. Don't watch me just to see that spot to go fish it. At the end of the day,
yeah,
though, you're gonna have those guys, and it don't bother me. I got a lot of local guys around here. I've got almost 8,000 subscribers now. That's nothing compared to those guys, but it's.
right.
I mean,
Up there, it's a lot, dude.
a couple years ago, I had, I remember hitting 1,000. I remember getting on Alex's live and commenting, and Alex is telling Ben, how I don't know how to say Ben's last name, Ben Nowak or something. He was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Josh just, Bastard Bear, he just hit 1,000 subscribers," and I remember thinking that was super cool. But there are guys that watch your videos that are local that see those spots and they want to go fish those spots. There's nothing wrong with that. That's
absolutely.
okay with me. But if I'm fishing a tournament, I don't want people to know. If I'm spending my money to enter this tournament and I'm fishing for 1,000, 2,000 bucks, that's going to help me pay bills and stuff. That at the end of the day, it's kind of business at the same time. I mean, we're out there having fun. I'll help you. But if it's tournament related, I'm trying to be as secret as I can. Trying to
Yeah,
win. I'm competitive.
dude. So I have I'm starting. They finally, so Vermont has had zero kayak trails, none. We've got small boat trails and a couple like BASS like Tuesday nighters kind of deal,
Yeah.
Wednesday nighters. And I never really wanted to get into the bass boat stuff. I wasn't willing to pay the membership fees and all the dues for bass to get out there and spend $400 to fish against a guy that's been, doing that tournament as long as I've been on the planet. It's just not,
Yeah.
I'm just not willing to compete like that. So Vermont finally got a Slay Nation trail. So they do like the small vessel series. So you can actually fish from a John boat with just a trolling motor. You can't use your gas motor,
Yeah.
or you can have dual kayaks. You just have to stay I think it's 20 yards. You have to be within 20 yards of each other, but you can fish as a team.
Really?
So it's a cool way to do it because they don't let the big boats use their motors, but you can have motors on your kayaks too. I don't have a motor, but I have pedal drive. But you get to stay
Yeah.
within 20. You have to stay within 20 yards of your teammate, and you just fish. And I don't know how. I haven't figured out how they do the fish submissions
That's
because
what I was about to ask.
you can compete individual or as a team. And from what I understand, you basically just have to pass the fish back and forth, and one person submits them. But which I know there was another trail that I was looking into, like the one Drew Gregory's running with like the adventure series. The teammates, they just do 10, but that's because the whole thing is they split off the team. But what's cool about that is and I was really excited about it, is so the first lake that is April 28th. That is the lake that is 30 minutes from my house that again, kind of being secretive, refused to name because that lake is probably 60% of my videos on my channel. So like if I say the name, everybody's going to start going there because that's where I caught my PB. I catch a lot of huge fish there. But that lake I have probably the most hours out of any bass lake. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm pretty confident that I won't have to even pre-fish that lake because I know exactly where the fish will be at that time because it's the one that
Yeah.
I fish all the time.
Hey, I've
This
got spots like that.
and the second out of the 7 stops at that tournament, um, 4 of them are lakes that I'm really familiar with. So it's going to be a nice like. Before that, I was doing a tournament trail in Massachusetts where, no joke, the captain's meeting was at 5:30 a.m. and that was a 3.5 hour drive from my house. So
Dang.
I had to leave my house at I would literally work remote those days, and at 5 o'clock I would go to bed to get up at 2 to drive to the lake. And because I have to drive that far, like when I'm local, I don't secure my kayak the same way I do when I'm gonna travel 100 miles. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't like strap as much down. Honestly, I bought those horizontal rod, like the Yak Gadget ones. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of bungee those in there, and I take it easy. When you're driving on
Yeah.
the highway, you have to really strap shit down. So then you got to
Dude,
get there and set up.
I leave my Hobie on my trailer 24/7. Sits there.
Mine's
I've got I just everything stays on there. And
yep,
I've got one of those Carver covers instead of the Hobie cover. I've got the Carver. It was still like dang, I don't even remember how much it was, $170. But it's amazing.
yep.
It works. And I just
So
leave
I
that
made a
kayak on there
redneck
24.
tunnel cover for my trailer. That's what I did. So I took a tarp, zip tied it to a piece of strap, and I just roll it out like a tunnel cover,
Oh
basically.
yeah.
But
Heck
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
so my kayak trailer is actually an old pop-up camper.
Really?
So what we did, I had a pop-up camper that all the fiberglass rotted. So I stripped it down to the steel frame. The frame was still good. The trailer itself was still good. It's just all the fiberglass in the roof was so rotten that the canvas would just pull through. Like you could try to reattach the canvas and it would just pull through it. So it was just
Yeah.
useless. So I gutted it and I actually we have a local lumber yard here that has hemlock, and they do like rough cut hemlock. So I just
Mm-hmm.
bought like basically a bunch of like full 1 inch hemlock and literally just like self tap screwed it right into the freaking frame all the way down through that hemlock. And we built
Heck
like,
yeah.
basically made a utility trailer out of it. And one of the best features of that whole trailer is the fact that I left the step for when you step into the camper. So when I go to get in and out of it, I can just pull that step out and step up over the side railing. and I get so many looks when I'm at the boat ramp because I'm launching my kayak and I pull that step out, step up into the trailer, push my kayak out,
Hey,
step back down, and they're like, "Holy crap! Why do you have a step on there?" And I'm like, "It's just how this trailer." It's like I don't have to explain it to them, but
I kind of did the same. I've got a utility trailer, but I kind of did the same
yep,
thing. My granddad had a big stump grinder on this 14-foot trailer,
yep,
and he ended up selling the stump grinder. And I was like, "Hey, can we keep that trailer?" And I talked. He sold it to the stump grinder to one of my buddies. I was like, "Hey,
yep,
dude, we're gonna sell you the stump grinder. Let me keep the trailer." He let me keep the trailer. It's a 14-foot regular, maybe 5 foot wide.
yep.
And my papa's kind of got in good with this steel company down the road. They have a big steel company with a big warehouse. My papa's in the firewood business. So he gives them all of his old junky wood. I mean, like giant round logs, and they take like forklifts and they keep these big giant fireplaces full of wood during the winter and heat their place. So they do work for my papa on fences. So I took them this utility trailer down there. They built metal rod boxes with lids down the side,
Nice.
an aluminum box on the front. They redid the sides, the bottom, and then they put a rack on it that so I can fit like 3 or 4 kayaks on my trailer. But I put a piece of carpet on the bottom, and then I just back into the water, slide the Hobie in, slide the Hobie on,
Yep.
and like I said, we've had 3 Hobies on that thing. Only thing that sucks is lifting those Hobies up because when you're standing there,
Pop
that
over, yeah,
top rack is to the top of
yep,
your to your chin or your eyeballs, and we have to lift those PA-14s up over our heads. It's
yep.
awful, but it's a really nice trailer though.
That's what I did kind of the same idea is I put the way mine had to be built out, we actually had to build the wheel wells because when they do the camper, the wheels are actually up under the floor, but they do a raised bed in the trailer to make the floor for the camper. So because I dropped it all the way down to the frame, my wheels actually stuck up above the frame. So we built like just wheel wells. So I
Yeah,
actually used one of the wheel wells. I ran a 2x6 down the side of it, which made it level with the side of my railing. And then I braced it up, and I actually made like a rod locker on one side.
there you go. Yeah,
I got to put the lid on, and I haven't built that yet because I got the wood. I just haven't put it together yet. But I'm making a locking lid for it, so that way. What's cool about it is I didn't fill the bottom in, so any rain or water that does get in there, because it is just wood, it just runs into the
runs
trailer and
down.
runs down through so it doesn't fill
Heck
up.
yeah.
The front of it, I'm actually going to block in so I can put rod or like storage boxes underneath. So the idea behind that was when I go to some of these tournaments, and like I really don't like it. Sometimes I want to go into like the tackle store real quick, but I'm like paranoid about leaving all my rods and baits just sitting on my kayak trailer when I run into a store. Like it's a little harder to just like pick my kayak up off the trailer, but it'd be real easy to just
Yeah, no,
grab a
yeah.
rod and throw it in the back of your truck. So I wanted to be able to lock that stuff up so I don't have to worry about stuff coming up missing while I'm in the store.
So I've got rod boxes on both sides of my trailer, right? And they
Yep.
they welded these little things that when you shut it, they're like right there, and you can put a lock through it and lock them. They made my
Nice.
rod boxes 7 foot long. All of my rods are 7'1", 7'2", seven
Yep.
six.
Oh
And
man.
I never said a word because they did it all for free. They didn't charge me nothing.
Yep.
So I didn't want to go down there and say, guys, y'all made this wrong. I asked them to make them 8 foot. They accidentally made them 7, but it ended
Yep.
up working out perfect because I've got life jackets in those boxes. I've got tools. I've got extra
Yep.
wires, cables, nuts, bolts. I've got waders. I've got all kinds of stuff in those boxes. So it ended up working out perfect. And then like you were talking about people stealing your stuff, I still throw my rods in the back of the truck and I run a bungee over them. If I'm going in somewhere,
Yep.
I'll stick them in the front seat, lock my doors.
Yep.
But the boxes, I can't use them for rods how they were supposed to be originally. But dude, I still got them full of stuff, so it works out.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. Like mine were 8 feet, but they weren't 8 feet because I didn't freaking think about it. So I made them 8 feet, but then I didn't take into account that I had 2 inches on one side and 2 inches on the other
Yeah,
side. When I started framing stuff in, I didn't get the full 8 feet. So then I had, like you said, I've got a couple of rods. Actually, I've got a swim bait rod right here that's over,
yeah,
a little bit over 8 feet because it's
yeah.
the
Ain't gonna fit.
Okuma guide. It's not going to fit in there. So I ended up going the full length because my trailer is like 11. I think it's 11 and a half feet. I actually extended the deck a little bit because it was originally a pop up. So I ended up buying a 10-foot board and kind of doing it. So now I have a little bit more room. But the problem I have is I don't have the freaking lid and all that stuff on it. So
Yeah.
I'm still working on it's. That's a fun thing about kayaking though. Like kind of getting back to what we were talking about earlier. Like I don't know about you, but like it seems like every spring I'm always like readjusting how stuff was
Oh yeah.
set up, and like you're always like tweaking. Like I ended up changing how I store plastics. It's like you're constantly having to adapt to how you store because especially the longer you do it, I feel like especially when you're doing tournament fishing, I need more but less. Like I
It's
need to
just
be
like
able to keep more of these baits but organized.
yeah, it's just like at the house, man. Spring rolls around. You're pressure washing, you're mowing the yard, you're cleaning up, you're putting mulch down, getting the leak. You're kind of doing that spring cleaning. Same thing with kayak fishing. I'll
Yep.
drag my kayak off the trailer, I'll pressure wash it, clean it up, get all my stuff reorganized. It's just like everything else.
Yep.
Trailer too. What I'm thinking about doing with my trailer is we hardly like. I got it to put multiple kayaks on, but it's hard to get that many people to go fishing all the time. Really,
Yep.
the only two people that I could get to go that much is John and Alex. But I'm
Right.
thinking about buying one of those truck top campers that like
Yep.
goes up, like it can go on top of your truck and then it opens up and it folds out and you got a ladder that comes down.
Yep. Yep.
I'm out. I'm thinking
Yep.
about doing that just like so I've got the big rack on the top of my trailer. Think about putting a tent just on one side of it.
Yeah.
That way I can mount it, and I'll take that trailer down to the steel company, whatever I need to fabricate to make it work, where they can mount that thing to the top of my trailer, and then I could fold
Yep.
it right off the side and have a ladder that comes down. And then if I go on one of these trips, one of these big
Ooh,
tournaments or something, pull up to a campground. I've got my kayak on there. I've got my tent on the top, and I'm ready to go.
that would be huge.
Thinking about doing that,
I
but those tents are dude. They're like $2, 3, $4,000 though.
wicked.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
don't have that kind of money.
I looked at for my truck. They make have you ever heard of soft topper? It's basically a cap, but they make it out of the same thing they make like convertible soft tops out of.
Okay.
So what it is it's got like the spring fold like bars that you can like kind of fold it out and then clamp it down to your truck bed just like you would a regular cap, but it's made out of that like canvasy. I don't know what it is, but it's that same material that they make like convertible soft tops out
Yeah.
of, and they're a lot cheaper than like a fiberglass or aluminum cap. And I don't really want a cap all the time, but for
Yeah.
tournaments, it's the same thing. Like you said, like I have the mattress because I had a cap on my last truck. I bought that air mattress that's like actually cut around the wheel well, so it makes the whole bed of your truck like an air mattress. And I've thought about buying that soft topper because for tournaments, dude, like the thing about fishing a tournament that's funny is you're camping, but you're not camping. Like you just
Yeah.
need somewhere to sleep. Like you're never
Yep.
there. And I don't even
No.
set up like when
Yeah.
I go to do a tournament, I have a little 4-man dome tent that I set up because I'm like, I just need a mattress on the ground with some blankets and I'm gonna pass out. And half of the time I end up passing out in my truck because I sit in my truck watching YouTube while charging my phone. And then I spend half the night passed out in the front seat of my truck because I fall asleep before I even get in the tent.
Yeah.
So having set
We
up like what you're talking about would be sweet.
yeah, we did a trip on Chickamauga last year. Me, John, Creek Fishing Adventures, my buddy Gary, my buddy Chris Franklin. There's about 5 of us. And this is like a big campground that's got like big campers, like Winnebagos and
Yeah.
stuff, like
Yeah.
the high dollar stuff. But they had a couple little camp spots for us with like electricity. And we rented that thing and we all paid like $40 a piece. And we stayed there 2 nights on Chickamauga. And
Yep.
their ramp in the campground was a pay ramp. So some of us were able to launch. Like I literally woke up, pulled through the gravel parking lot and launched at the ramp because
Yep.
it was public. I mean, people could pay $5 to launch. So in
Right.
these tournaments, you can only launch from a public launch.
Public, of
But
course.
yeah, we popped up tents and we were right next to the bathhouse. So there was toilets, there was showers, and we were right. It was amazing. It was so cool. We just wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Get all our stuff ready, and then we had showers and everything right there. That was one of the funnest
That's,
trips that I've ever done on a
yeah.
like a tournament.
See, I keep trying. That's the problem I have up here. Is Vermont is actually predominantly a trout state. Like there, you'll find way more guys that are chasing rainbows and lake trout than you'll ever find bass fishermen, which is weird
Really?
because you would think that with Vermont being, Champlain, the mecca of, that is. Now, granted,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bass fishermen here, but like a lot of the guys don't like even the guys who do bass fish, they're so low key. Like they're not
Yeah.
willing to go rough it in camp for, 4 days to go catch fish. And there's a place, there's a state, like our national forest surrounds a big reservoir, and they actually have like it's actually a walleye preserve. So there's like a extreme slot limit, like 17-inch walleye is it. You can't catch bigger, you can't catch smaller, and you can get one. But there's big walleye in there. There's big smallmouth and big largemouth, and the entire circumference of it is national forest. So you can just set a tent up anywhere you want and camp for free. So you can launch your boat at a state ramp, go fishing, hang out, and camp for as long as you want for free. And I keep trying to like every year I keep being like, hey guys, we should definitely do this. And the boat ramp itself has porta potties, so you still have facilities because you're kind of primitive
Yeah. No,
camping.
that's
But
part. As long as there's something like that for me, I'm good.
yeah, and there's a point that's right off the boat ramp that you can literally go. It's probably 100 yards from where the ramp is that you could pull your kayaks right up on shore. It's a flat area, overlooks the whole lake basically. And the other thing about this place, which is cool, is it has a horsepower limit. It's actually a speed limit, but you
Yeah.
can't go.
No, that's
So
awesome.
there's no wake.
So yeah. So back to my little lake, my high reservoir lake there up there in the mountains, Chilhowie.
Yep.
It's 5 miles long. So we have kayak tournaments on it every year. It's one of our, we have a local trail called Tin Cat, uh, and we average 30 to 40 anglers every event. That's a lot of people up there on that lake.
Yeah.
This past year, they started doing bass boat tournaments on it. I mean, and it is not big, and there's 15, 20
Yep.
bass boats, and you see a guy coming. Like, I don't understand why there's a guy running 60 miles an hour down a lake that
Yep.
he could leave the dam and run up as far as you can. It'd take him 7 minutes from one end of the lake to the other, and it's like, why?
Yep.
Like, we like our whatever TVA or TWRA, I personally feel like they need to put a stop to that. Like, I mean, I get it. Everyone has a right to fish, but at the end of the day, you're talking like you guys could go anywhere, any of these lakes around us. We're surrounded by lakes and rivers, and y'all are up here in these
Yep.
bass boats, fishing the heck out of these damn fish on this tiny ass lake.
Yep.
I think it sucks, and I've noticed the difference in the fishing quality in the last couple of years since they started doing those bass boat tournaments up there.
Yeah, there are some places around here that. So what's cool is up here the state cracked down on wake boats. So they actually made a law, and they actually outright banned wake boats on a bunch of
Ah,
lakes.
wish
And
we'd
they
do that.
basically so they the law they passed, and a bunch of people threw fits. The law they passed was like you have to have 50 contiguous acres around you, and it has to be over 20 feet of water to use a wake boat. So basically the middle of the lake. Like you can't some of the lakes were small enough where they weren't allowed. And what's really funny is some of the lakes that they banned are lakes that have camps all around them that those boats are on, that those people
Yeah,
bought these camps from out of state. So they have these $100,000 wake boats sitting on a dock that they can't use on their lake that they own because
dude, they beat the
they're
hell out of everything around them too. Like, I mean,
dude.
you could fish down the lake and see the banks and stuff just eroding
Yep.
and washing away from these big boats and stuff. I'm right here next to Neyland Stadium, Tennessee Vols. It's right on the river, Tennessee River, and they have the Vol Navy that comes through there. Dude, we have yachts. Like, I'm talking about, I mean, cost more than people's 5, 6, 7, maybe $1 million yachts that come down the lakes, down the Tennessee River right here. And dude, it's insane. We were out on my buddy's boat and it was like being in the ocean. I'm talking about 6, 7 foot rollers,
Yep.
giant waves. They about killed a buddy of mine on his kayak. He flipped his kayak, lost his gear, lost his gun, and everything. He was out there one day when the Vol Navy come through. One of them big yachts come through and just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've
you
had
got
them on
people.
my home lake, dude.
It's insane. A
What
boat
irritates
the
me about it
size of
too is
a
sorry, go ahead.
bus. No, you're
Yep.
good. Just saying a boat. I mean, a boat the size of a freaking cat bus or a big giant school bus out there on the lake. Just dude, they put off some big weight.
What bothers me about it the most is the fact that there's no there's no recourse. Like if I'm in a kayak and a guy in a wake boat comes 20 yards off my bow and just hammers down and starts pulling a ski boat. Like I've had him stare at me and wave. And it's like, dude, you realize like you're creating a dangerous situation for and I'm experienced and I spend 16 to 20 hours a weekend in my kayak, but they're
Yeah,
doing this to like kids in little sit-ins.
yeah,
Like it's not just like I'm in a freaking old town. I weigh 300 pounds, so I'm pretty stable between the weight of my kayak and the weight of me, and I know how to position my boat to adjust for the wave. But they do it. I've seen them do it to these kids in like 10-foot, 8-foot sit-in pelicans,
yeah,
and those don't take waves well, and they're blowing the doors off these kids, waving and laughing, and it's like they, in my opinion, those people are the reason. Like I get that some people are responsible about it and what, like I said, what irritates me is we have this lake that people have heard of called Champlain, where that
hmm
wouldn't be an issue. Go
yeah,
out there and do it. You don't need to do it on these 200-acre reservoirs. And
yeah,
like you said, and that's actually how they got this law passed. So they didn't get the law passed because it was irritating fishermen. They got the law passed because the EPA was able to go, yeah, you're ruining the shoreline.
yeah.
You're decreasing the vegetation. You're creating issues with habitat. There's a couple of lakes that
They
banned jet
are.
skis for the same reason because they were like able to pass it because of that.
Dude, I was out fishing the other day and it was still chilly and there's dang pontoon boats coming running down the lake and I was just like,
Yep.
God, it's springtime. That's why I like winter. I don't have to deal with none of
Yep.
that. Every once in a while you'll have dude, I was out one winter and there was some guys skiing. They had their full wetsuits on out there
Yep.
behind. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? But yeah,
Yep.
it's that time of year. All those people are coming out, jet skiers, everybody. But hey, they got I guess they got a right to it just like we do.
That's the only benefit about the ice out deal here is I won't see any of that crap for about a month because the
Yeah.
water temp right now is like hypothermia level. Like you do not want to get in the water up here. Like
Yeah.
I
We're in
actually
the
wear like
50s. We're in the mid
50s.
50s right now.
Oh yeah,
I saw
no, dude.
56 or something the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think I
Which is
mean
still cold.
before yeah, yeah,
I mean, you don't want
absolutely.
to fall. You don't want to fall in that.
No. No, I think what I saw when I was fishing 2 weeks ago was 48, 46. But we got 16 inches of snow since then
Yeah.
and like mid 30s weather for a week. And then it's supposed to rain all next week. So that's what really sucks is like, to be honest, it's not really a brag, but I think that's why like sometimes Northeast anglers are a little bit underrated because we get these bass that like they go from spawn to not spawn to winter to spawn. Like we get like 5 different phases of bass fishing from March to April.
Yeah.
And then sometimes even into May because like we'll get a big rainstorm and all of our like, everything that's a tributary dumps in. And then because where we have mountains that still have like, they'll be still skiing for another month here, right? All those mountain lakes, all that
Golly.
mountain water comes down and then it screws the temperature up again. So you'll get like really close. You'll see like bass go to beds on Monday, and then Tuesday it's 32 degrees outside, and it's starting to form ice across the top of the water, and then they're right back pulled back out to get away from it because it's so cold. It's the craziest. Like we have like spawn is really like a really waves. Like I know like that they go in waves, but like for us it's like they pretty much have. There's some points where like last year I swear the bass spawned on one weekend because it was like it got so late in the year that they just had to go. Like they just couldn't
Yeah.
hold it anymore.
All right, we got to do this right now.
It was like
We
a
hit,
drunk, having to go to the bathroom. Like, I gotta go. I can't wait any
yeah,
longer.
dude, we hit like almost 80 degrees a week or so ago. Like it got
Yeah,
up
I
to like
know.
80, almost 80 degrees. But our dude, Tennessee's got the weirdest weather. You hit 80 degrees one day and then hit 30 2 days later. It's super weird here.
Yep.
And we didn't get a lot of snow this year, but we had like a small blizzard to come through. I mean, for us, it was a lot, 9 inches. I mean, we don't really get
Yeah.
that. And I had the kids out there, and we had all of our streets were iced over and snowed. Kids are out there riding their four wheeler and stuff all
Yep.
down the road and stuff. So yeah, we're
And
like I said, we're lucky here in Tennessee, man. We got some pretty good weather all year round fishing.
that's my plan, dude. Once my youngest is out, and kind of on his own, I'm probably gonna
How
clean my
far?
house up.
How far are you from Tennessee? Up in what did you say, Vermont?
I'm in Vermont, yeah. So it's a drive for sure. The thing is I have my job is the biggest thing is I'd have to find another job, obviously.
Yeah,
But like I'm in the tech support world, so there's a lot of opportunity in that
yeah,
world
no,
that
yeah, for sure, yeah,
I could transition and do. There's a lot of like jobs that I could make less, but I could work remote, which would be kind of the goal. Because if I could get a remote job, then I could start it before I move. You know what I mean? And then get the
yeah,
house sold. And then, because I would do it in phases. Like my wife's going to school to be a nurse. So that's anywhere, she goes, she's going to have a job because nursing is so high demand. But
no, yeah,
my
yeah,
goal would be to sell my house. Because up here, the housing market is so jacked. Like, the house I'm in was built in the 1900s. I paid way below what it was valued at because it was an apartment that it was like a property management company that just wanted out of it. And even that, like a fixer upper here is 250 grand.
dude. Tennessee is awful. I'm telling you right now. Right now is freaking stupid.
Yeah.
There's people moving from California all over the place. I'm seeing houses that I was looking at, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, 150,000, 3 bedroom, two bath. They're 370, 380,000. My
Yep.
house, my granddad's going to sell me my house for $40,000. Okay.
Yep.
The house right across the street is, dude, it was awful. It was junk. They come in, put a little money into it. This little young couple, this is what's happening. These young couples are moving in from other states. They just paid like
Yep.
$227,000 for that house, dude.
Yep.
I'm about to buy mine for 40 grand, and they
I
just paid
have
227,000 for theirs across the street. And
next.
the thing is, the people that fixed it up, there's they've already put so much money into it. These kids that bought it, they're going to lose money.
Yeah.
They can't do nothing to that house to make that value go up. So they're going to lose money if they sell it because it's maxed out. It's crazy. This market here is just I can't even buy a house. That's why I'm gonna buy this little damn thing I live in for my
Yeah.
granddad. It's the best option for me.
That's why I bought this place. So this place needed a lot of work. And I've done a lot of it already, but there's definitely some other stuff that needs to be maintained. Like my floor, there is no such thing as a level floor anywhere in this house. It's an old school, like redneck built house. Like
That's
my
my house.
foundation. People ask me what material my foundation is, and I just say yes. Like it's not like
Yep.
it's not cock. It's literally like a little bit of slate with some mortar, and then some marble, and then some mortar, and then some like flat sheets of like granite and then some mortar. Like it's just like you go in my basement and it's just like Legos down there, like
Yeah.
they
I don't
built
even have a
in my
basement.
back.
You're fancy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not really. So what I call my basement is a 4 foot high area.
Yeah, I've
It's
got a
the
crawl space.
foundation. It's
Yeah.
basically a crawl space. And because of where I live, there's always water in it. I have a sub pump that runs, it can be 20 below zero outside, and my sub pump will run every hour on the hour.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That
Like, I
sucks.
actually literally have to heat tape the sub pump line that runs out of my house. And then I have to like close system it, but I have to have it like somewhat open because if it's closed, the whole pipe will freeze all the way to the end. And like I had to dig a ditch around the edge of my property because they didn't even like when I bought the house, they ran a pipe about I don't know 10 inches from the back of the house and they just let the water run out into the backyard. But they put drainage tile around the whole house. So basically the water would just run out into my backyard and then fucking recirculate back into the sub pump and just keep going round and round. So I
Over and
ended up
over.
digging a ditch and like actually running it away. But like it's so much. There used to be brick, I think, in my basement, and it was so moist. There was so much moisture, it eroded the brick. There's like
Dang.
brick that's like melting, like just kind of going out with the water as it like. It's insane. Like I can see where they tried to spray foam it because there's places where there's like chunks of spray foam, but it's just like melted and ended up out, with the sub pump water. It's the worst. But
I
when
ain't
I
gonna
was
lie.
digging that ditch, dude, it was awful because there was like rebar and plastic, and it was like one
Yeah,
of those old farm deals where they just kept burying shit, and that's how they made their yard.
I'm gonna buy this little house, put a little money into it, and I'm gonna like now that my kids and stuff like come back and forth between me and their moms. I'm going to kind of make it to where like if John, because John's 2 hours from me, and if we have any
Gotcha.
tournaments down this way or we got a trip planned now, like I'll be like, hey, keep the kids tonight. And then
Yep.
John could, instead of having to drive 2 hours, waking up, because John is not the guy to wake up that early. He can come over here, hang out. We'll
Yep.
go eat Mexican food or something, MD. And then he can come over here and stay at my house, sleep on the couch or,
Perfect.
kids' room on a bunk bed or something. So, but my goal is to buy this place, do that, and then use it as a rental property here in a few years. My grandparents got some land up in the mountains. And
Yep.
dude, I'm not picky. I'm gonna buy me a nice little double wide or something, stick it up there, and I'll live like that. I mean, it'll be nice, but and we got 40 acres with a pond and all kinds of stuff up there. That's my goal.
See,
That's my plan.
see, dude, that's how I operate. Like, if I could, my dream house would be like just like a small, like even like kit cabin, but I want like land around it where I don't have to have any neighbors. The funny part is, like, I always joked, like, if I ever won like the Powerball, like I would have like probably the most low key house ever, but a huge garage because I would have a
Yeah.
couple of boats, a bunch of
Hmm.
kayaks, bunch of fishing gear, but I wouldn't have like this elaborate mansion house. I don't really care about the house because I'm not going to be there much. I'm
Yeah.
going to be somewhere on the water, like honestly, I think the first thing I would do is sell everything and buy like a camper and haul my kayaks and boat around and just go
Yeah.
fish. Like I wouldn't
I
even
would
buy a
probably
house.
I'd probably buy me a nice spot on a lake.
Yeah,
But then again, I never fish the same lake. I'm on a different
that's
body of water all the time. Always. That's why I got these guys like
yep,
sometimes competing against some of these guys. They fish the same body of water over and over and over and over and over.
yep,
There's a bunch of us guys around here that fish these tournaments. We're on different bodies of water all the time. I mean, we our trail pretty much never stops year round.
right,
We fish a different body of water every single month. Every month we're
yep.
on a different body of water. So pretty
See, I
awesome.
get bored with it. I don't think. I always said that. I always said like I would wanna like. Now, granted, if you put like a house on like Chickamauga, it'd take a while to get bored because that's a pretty big
Yeah.
body of water. But like I never like I don't know if I'd want a lake house because I feel like I would end up pulling my boat more often than not, or I'd have to have two boats because I'd want to go travel. Like I get
Yeah.
bored. I'm driving everywhere I go, and I have a lake that is 30 minutes away from me that I know I can catch decent fish. And it's not like to brag, but like it's not as fun because I know I can go hit this bay and there's a good chance that there's going to be 3 pounders in there and I can catch 4 or 5 of them. Like I want to go somewhere like you said, it was like some of the funnest parts of bass fishing are going somewhere I've never been.
Yeah.
I have no knowledge about it, have no way of knowing anything and catching a bass. When you can do that, in my mind, it's more of an accomplishment. It's kind of like the competitive thing you were talking about earlier. Like in my mind, like every time I'm fishing, I'm in a tournament with myself. Like I'm
Yeah.
constantly trying to catch a bigger fish or catch more fish or catch a fish in a place that I've never caught a fish because that sense of like, okay, cool. Now I've caught a fish at this lake. It's like another check in my, notch in my belt. So it's like that's kind of how I operate is always like when it comes to tournaments, like I told my buddy that's doing my teammate for tournaments, I'm like, I'm on a different, like I warned him. I'm like, listen, so when we're fun fishing, I'm having a good time. I'm recording, I'm talking, I'm light, I'm loose. I'm like, I'm going to warn you right now. I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset with you, but you're going to think I am. And he's like, what
Yeah.
do you mean? And I'm like, because I am on a different plane of existence when I'm tournament fishing than when I'm fun fishing. I am already 5 casts ahead and 2 locations ahead of where I am now. And I'm
Locked in.
calculating every piece of detail, and every single thing I do is being logged and recalculated. And I'm trying to just, I don't like to lose. It is not like, and like I said to him, I'm like, it's not you. I am hyper competitive against myself. When I got done playing beer gut softball on the way home, my wife would be driving, and I would be like, I should have swung at that second pitch. Like, it's just, that's my brain. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. So I was like, dude, it's going to be different fishing with me in a tournament, and that's how I fish when I'm by myself. Is like, I'm trying to beat my own score every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this weekend, I got that tournament up there, and I'm throwing everybody a little bit of a curveball because I'm going to an area I've never even been before. I got some news about it. I've seen some fish come out of there. Something I got a gut feeling. Go. Something told me to go
Yep.
there, and I'm going there. I've never seen it. I've never laid my eyes on it. I got an area that I go to, and these guys know I go to it. That's why they go there and they try to
Yep.
fish it. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I'm going to use that as a backup. So I'm going to go to a
Yep.
spot that I've never been before, do something completely different I don't typically do. I'm gonna give it to about I guess it's lines in at 7 a.m. I'm gonna give it to about a 10 or 11.
Yep.
And if I, depending on what I got, I'm gonna pack up and then I'm gonna go to my other spot that I originally
So
go to.
so it's funny is my buddy that we are talking about the fishing. So we're the like I said, the first tournament. So this is the first ever tournament of this trail.
Yeah,
And some of the guys, I've talked to some of the guys that are fishing it. Some of them have never fished a kayak tournament, like ever. One guy was like, doesn't even have a kayak yet. Like, he's like, that's how
dang.
fresh some of these guys are. And don't get me wrong, I know that I'm not going to underestimate them. I know a lot of them are probably hammers and they're going to come in there. But what I told him is, I'm like, dude, so here's the deal. A lot of these guys follow me on Facebook. Some of these guys follow my YouTube channel, and they know my tendencies. So we're probably not going to start where we're going to end up fishing. And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't want to set up in the area that I know there's fish because I know there's fish there. I want to go somewhere
Yeah,
else because these guys are going to watch where I start and they're going to hang around. So I'm like, we're going to start in a
yeah,
totally different area than where we're going to end up fishing. We're going to fish somewhere where there's going to probably be fish, but we're not going to go where I think the bigs are. We're going to go a
yeah,
little bit further out and then work our way back after the field kind of clears out. Because, like you said,
yeah,
there's that game within the game. Like, I will admit, as a tournament angler, when I'm fishing, when I'm fun fishing and I pull up on someone and I see they're catching fish, I'm gone. You have this bank. It's your bank. I don't care. I'll go find fish over here. When I'm tournament fishing and I see you throwing a white spinner bait, I'm going to dig into my box because if I just watched you pull out a freaking fish after fish after fish on a white spinner bait, I'm going to pull that white spinner bait out and I'm going to go try to find the pattern over on the other bank and do that. I'm going to steal
yeah,
that info. I'm going to compete against you. I'm going to thank you at the end of the day and say, "Hey dude, I definitely, peeped your spot." But like, I'm just on a different wavelength when I'm doing tournaments. I'm not going to necessarily come right up next to you and steal your area, but you know, there's like this little game that happens at the beginning, and I don't know how like you guys do. Basically, you just launch and then you just do lines in. You don't do like a shotgun start or anything like that for you guys.
no,
I'm assuming,
no,
right?
yeah. You can
I
launch
don't
anywhere on the
know.
lake. Yeah, you can, as
Yeah,
long as it's public access. That's the good thing about it is everybody's spread out all over that damn
yeah.
lake. There's
See,
guys at home 2 weeks before on Google Earth maps, looking at ramps, looking at this,
yeah.
researching, going out and practicing, pre-fishing. That's how it goes. But I
See,
had a guy
here there's
message.
usually only one ramp.
Really? Yeah,
Most
we
lakes
we've
here
got.
only have one or
I
two.
mean, we've got ramps that's got 3 or 4 ramps, and then we've got lakes that are just spread out with tons of ramps all over the place.
Yeah,
And it ain't even got to be a ramp.
It's a
that you
public
launch from.
access, yeah.
It could be a public access. It could be a spot on the side of a highway that's got a spot that you could drag a kayak down to the water. That's like guys like Drew Gregory. That's their thing. He's got that Sholey with a Newport on it, a couple little batteries, go light. Hell, Drew's used a rope to lower his kayak down the side down a bridge to. I mean, look, he just won the Bassmaster Classic, the kayak series. I mean,
Yep.
it sometimes you got to get into those sneaky spots. Where I'm going this weekend's kind of like that. I thought it was, anyways, and then to come to find out, there's people do know about it. But I had a guy message me that bank fishes. He's like, "Hey, I seen your post about catching these fish, or about fishing this tournament. I seen you did pretty good." He's like, "But I got this area." He's like, "I went out today. I caught a 21 incher, 19, a 19, and an 18." And he
Man.
was like, he's like, "I'm fishing from the bank." He's like, "You ought to." He said, "It may be worth you going there." And dude, I just got a gut feeling like maybe I should go there. So I'm
Yep.
gonna go to this. I'm gonna go to this area I've never been and just swing for the fences.
Dude, for those of you who don't do kayak tournaments, 19 and up is really what you're looking for. The 16 to 17
Yeah,
fish, you're going to be in contention. If you catch 5 16s, you'll be top 10, but you catch
yeah,
the 19s and up and you're now automatically top 5, top 3 depending on the fish.
yeah. I
And
mean,
that's really
yeah,
like
you could,
anywhere, but
you could have two or three 18s, 19s, and throw a couple 16s in there. You could
yep.
win it. But if you could run across a good little mess of 18s, all 18s and 19s, you're probably gonna win that thing.
Yeah, it's funny too, like I don't know about you, but like I'm at the point now where I don't even really care about weighing fish. When you do enough kayak tournaments, it's
Yeah,
really about the length of them. Like I
it
don't,
is.
yeah, if it's a real big one, I want to weigh it just to see if it's bigger than my biggest, but like it's really like those 21, 22-inch fish is really where you're like, okay, yeah, that's a 5 pounder, 6 pounder. Like you kind of relative weight, like in my mind, like I don't really care. Like I'll catch like a, you know, 2 pounder, but it's 15 inches, and you're like, yeah, like I don't really care about the weight. Is like that
Yeah.
length is what's really cool about
If
it.
I catch me a good 20-inch smallmouth, I'll throw it on the scales. Just like Alex
Yep,
says, get your eyes right, see where it's at. But
yep,
if you catch a limit of 18 and 19s, you're looking at a bag that's, those are typically 18, 19-inch fish is usually close to 3 pounds.
yep, yep.
You're looking at sorry, somebody
No, you're
messaging
good.
me. But you're looking at a decent bag, even in a bass boat tournament. If you're catching fish 19, 18, 19, 20 inches, you're catching some good fish.
And that's what's crazy. Is like you think about it entirely different when you're tournament fishing for in a kayak, like
No, yeah.
because like you actually will sometimes want to go get those stringy fish because some of those fish are long. Like I know I have a lake around me that I can catch fish that are long, but they're not like smallmouth especially. Smallmouth are notorious for like being light but long. Like you can find really long. Like there's difference between a kayak tournament lake and a like bass boat tournament lake. Because some of those good
That's
kayak
yeah.
lakes are like long, but they're skinny. They're more
Yeah, here
aerodynamic fish.
Yeah, here we've got a lot of rivers too. So a
Yep.
lot of our fish are really, really long. So you'll catch like Alex and them talk about going up to Michigan and stuff. You're catching 5, 6, 7 pound smallmouth that are 19 inches long. And they're like
Yep.
footballs, literally. That's where football come from.
Yep.
Here, you catch a 22-inch, 21, 22-inch smallmouth, it could be a 5 pounder. I
Yep.
caught one 21 and 3/4 with John few months ago, 3 or 4 months ago on the river. It wasn't even 5 pounds. It was 4.9. It was right. I mean,
Yep.
it's basically 5 pounds, but it was almost 22 inches long. Super long.
Yep.
Those are the fish you want in kayak tournaments. But I
Exactly.
started out like the first tournaments I ever fished were jet boat tournaments. My cousin's got a couple of jet boats. We started fishing the rivers, fishing these jet boat tournaments, and then I've jumped on the boat in some of these like lake, like with a couple buddies fishing some bass boat tournaments every once in a
Yep.
while. I'll jump in those with some of these guys, which are super fun though. I love the jet boat tournaments on the river. I mean, I love kayak fishing more than anything, but it's really close. You jump in a jet boat, run up and down them rivers, fishing for
Yep.
smallmouth. That is freaking fun. And
Well,
it
that's the
because it
thing
ain't
is
like
it's the
the
perfect
lake.
hybrid. It's the hybrid
Yeah,
because you're still able to get in the skinny water with those because the
yeah,
jet boats they don't need a
yeah.
lot of water.
Those are fun. And there's typically about 10, 15 people, different, or 10, 15 boats in those tournaments,
Yep.
which I ain't done one in 4 or 5 years. I ain't even, yeah, but those things are a blast.
Now, when you guys do kayak tournaments down there,
I'm trying
like,
to
are
talk my
you?
cousin.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know, something froze up. Yeah, go
Yeah, it
ahead.
froze up. So the tournament trail that you do on that, how many kayaks are in typically in like an event?
It just depends. I fish several different trails. So
Oh,
this
okay.
past weekend, the NETK it's a trail that's kind of struggling. I won Angler of the Year for it last year and won their classic and everything. And they average 10,
Okay.
11, 12, 15 anglers. Not a very big trail. Tin Cat is probably the best trail around this little area. We average 30,
Okay.
35, 40. It's a
So that's a
small,
pretty that's
yeah,
a
it's
pretty
a, it's
good
a,
purse then at the end
it,
of the day. That's not too
yeah,
bad.
that's a good trail, like for a smaller, club, because, the state of Tennessee, all these states are made up of these small, like we have state championship every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have all these smaller clubs across the state that compete. The top 10 in each club advance to the state championship, and you represent your team. We definitely have one of the best attendances in the entire state. Tin Cat does. Andrew Dotson is our tournament director. He kills it, does a good job. He's real professional and just does like I said, a really good job. Now, like Tennessee Bass Nation, which is obviously the
Yeah.
top club, because that can advance you to like the Bassmaster Kayak Series and stuff.
Right.
Those average, I've seen 100 anglers, 90 anglers, 80 anglers, stuff like
That's
that.
crazy.
The one for this weekend, I just checked an hour ago, right before we got on this live. There was only 15 people signed up for it. I have no
Yeah.
idea why. It's spring, the weather's nice, the fishing's probably going to be amazing, and I've never seen a Tennessee Bass Nation event that low. That don't
That's
mean there won't
crazy.
be 20 people sign up tomorrow, but I'm thinking that's going to be one of the lowest. For some reason, it's one of the lowest I've seen.
Yeah, the one we're doing. So what sucks about Vermont is like they're very stringent on permits. Like you have to get a permit for every tournament, and you can only fill to the capacity of the boat ramp. So what
Really?
sucks is, yeah. So like if you only have one boat ramp, mind you, for a lot of these lakes. So like some will have two, but most of them have one, and like our ramps are not big. So you're talking like the first one I was talking about. I think it's a 10 truck, maybe 12 truck ramp, but it's a team tournament. So technically,
Mm. Yeah, but
I
y'all better
don't
be
know if
riding
they're going to
together.
count. I don't know how the state's going to calculate that because technically we could sell 12 entries. Now that's 24 guys because you're going to have
Yeah.
2 trucks. Unless guys are doubling up on trailers or carpooling. But there's going to be, that's one of the things that's the only thing that's going to suck is I'm going to have to get to the ramp early because like I'm in a trailer. Some of these guys are going to be car topping, but at the end of the day, if I want to be able to park that truck and trailer and launch it, I'm going to have to get there before everybody else because they're going to line the freaking
Yeah.
ramp up with all these kayaks. And like I said, a lot of these guys, like I don't actually know how we're going to do our launch, but it's probably going to be the same deal, but we're all launching from one place. So we got to get our kayaks in the water, have the captain's meeting, get out there, and then wait for lines in. And that's how they usually work these out. So like you have to check in, launch,
Yeah.
wait for lines in, but it's one
So
ramp.
we do have a tournament trail here. It's called ETKA, which is East Tennessee Kayak Anglers.
Okay.
It's not a cat. So we got a thing. It's called CAST. It's Kayak Anglers Association of Tennessee or something like that.
Okay.
That's like the main thing over this state. This isn't a cast club or anything, but what it is, it's a weeknight tournament. So it's strictly on one lake, Fort Loudon, and it's Tuesday nights. I think now they changed it to Tuesday nights. It runs from 6 p.m. So we launch shotgun, like you're talking about, shotgun lunch, 6 p.m. You get back to the ramp. You got to be at the ramp at 9 p.m. It's 3 hours. It's a cool little
Yep.
fun tournament. I actually So what I'll do is, it sounds bad, but I don't get a lot of time to go fish those weeknighters. So you got to fish one or two events to qualify for the classic. So I'll go out, I'll fish one or two events throughout the season, and then I'll fish their classic. And I actually won their classic, I think 2 years in a row. And dude, it pays
Nice.
pretty good too because they put money back for the entire year. So
Yep.
this year, I think I won their classic and big fish, and I think I got like almost $1,300. And this is a small little club that averages, 8, 9, 10 people during the week. Guys get off work 6 o'clock, they can meet it, and they pick a different ramp on that lake. So if you say I win a tournament, I get to pick the next ramp, and then the
That's
guy,
kind of a cool concept. I
yeah,
like that.
and then the guy that wins the next tournament, he gets to pick the next ramp. And
That's
then
cool.
then you have a classic at the end of the year. So the classic is, you can launch at any ramp that they fish throughout the season. You can pick one of those ramps to launch at during the classic.
Okay.
So I always usually end up picking the one on the river. I use my motor and run. I think this year I ran 8 miles up the river, literally 8 miles up the river, 8 miles back down. But it paid off because I ended up going home with 12 or $1,300 in this little small tournament. But they put money
Yep.
back all year round for the classic.
That's cool. That's a smart idea, dude. See, that's the
That's a
one thing I
fun
need to
little
do is
club.
get a motor. But
What is it? A motor?
yeah, so the problem I have with some of these tournaments that like some of these bigger tournament trails around, like there's the trail I did last year in Massachusetts. They have their regular, so they pretty much dominate Massachusetts, but they have like a north, east, south, and west division, right? And then they do like an overall angler of the year where you have to fish your trail, but
Yeah.
then you have to fish two events out of the other one of the
Oh
other
wow.
trails to like be the overall angler of the year. So you have an angler of the year of each division, but then the overall you have to fish like somebody else's events too. But they also started an EKF, which is like their Hobie basically. It's like the higher end. It's like $150 entry fee, and they go to
Yeah.
places like Cayuga, St. Lawrence River. They're going to bigger bodies of water. Champlain by me is one of the places, and it's really cool because it's like an open, but like if I'm gonna fish a tournament like that on Champlain, I need a motor. Like the pedaling,
No, dude,
you can do it, but you can't cover enough water. Like
I
it's
know
just
people.
not.
There's people out there that are like, "Oh, you're in a kayak. Why are you putting all that, dude?" At the end of the day, you're spending your money. You go to work, you make your
Yep.
money, right? You can
Yep.
spend your money on whatever the freaking heck you want to. If you want to buy a kayak and put a motor and a graph and live scope on it, who's to say
Yep.
you can't? You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, putting a motor on your kayak is one of the best decisions you'll ever make. I mean,
Yep.
I get it. You're in a kayak, but dude, it's so worth it, especially if you're a tournament angler. But
Right.
even if you're not a tournament angler, why not make your go? So when you go fishing, you're going out to have fun and enjoy yourself and relax, right? I see.
Yep.
I heard a couple people say, "Well, I go to my kayak so I can get my exercise." Okay, you get your exercise. That's what you want to do. If I go
Right.
out in my kayak, I got a big Hobie. I want to go out and fish and enjoy myself. So I put a Newport motor on the back of it. That's what I
Yep.
wanted to do. I put a motor on it. That's how I want to fish. But it's a great, if you ever do decide to do one, I promise you, you will never regret it, dude.
So the problem I have is I can, but I can't on my current kayak. So I have the 10-foot Old Town, and
Yeah.
I'm pushing the limits of the weight capacity.
Yeah.
And I actually redneck rigged a transom off of
Hmm.
the power pole mount off the back side of it, and put like an old like Minn Kota Endura like small one on there just to try to get an extra, just to have a trolling motor just to get some propulsion. Because like you said, I don't really care about spot lock. It's just being able
No,
to
I don't care about that.
like it's what it is in a tournament situation. Is one of the biggest advantages is like, okay, I'm here, I'm catching on this specific pattern. Well, I know that over there this pattern is also there. I got to get there. I got to pedal 20 minutes or motor 10 minutes. And not to mention, during that 10-minute motor, I could be retying instead of
Yeah,
focusing on pedaling the whole time. So
dude,
you
it's the
have that,
most.
you get that extra advantage. So my next kayak is going to have a motor. I'm
It'll be
not
the
going to be able
best
to get a motor
decision.
right off, but
It'll be the best decision you ever made, dude. exactly what you just said. It just makes it easier. Any anything you do in life, we're always trying to figure out a way to make it as easy as possible. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
why do anything and make it more difficult than what it has to be
Yep.
when you can make it easier? Why not? Right? So, like adding
Yeah.
a motor, it makes it just a little bit easier. And dude, around here in Tennessee, everybody's got motors. So I remember I haven't been doing the tournament fishing, but maybe 4 years now. When I started, motors weren't allowed.
Yep.
Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they finally approved motors. Now everybody's got motors, and if ever now the people that don't, I'm starting to see the guys that's waited to the very end to get them. Now they're starting to get them. Now the big thing, live scope. So it started with
Yep.
motors. Everybody's like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna get a motor, blah blah blah. Now everybody's got motors.
Yep.
Now it's like, damn, this dude's got live scope. I might get live scope. I'm thinking about getting live scope, and we're
Yep.
seeing it happen. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. These dudes that are adding live scope, they're starting to freaking whoop ass.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll get live scope or not. I mean, maybe one day, but my motor is, dude, amazing. I'm actually everyone got they don't know if you've seen the thing with Newport Vessels where they started that ambassador program where they added a bunch of people.
Okay.
So I got on there and did it, and I'm waiting on them to send me a link because I get like $1,000 to spend with Newport, and I'm gonna get an NK300 and put on my
So,
14.
dude, Newport is
And
really the way to go. Like, if you look at those
yeah,
motors, dude, Newport is
yeah, they're
like,
nice.
well, it's not even the power output, but the way they build those things is like you're not sacrificing a ton of weight. Like they build those
No,
things with
they're
they're
efficient, dude.
solid, they're solid, but there's like they're built in a way where you're basically putting a rudder on your kayak that's propulsion. That's
Yeah.
basically how they design them. And the way they make them, they're pretty much universal. Like you could strap them to just about any
You can put
boat.
it on, yeah, you can put it on any kayak almost. And if you can't, they can you can find a
Bracket.
bracket or a mount that'll fit it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to put my plan is put the 300 on my 14 and then put the 180
Yep.
on my 12. My
Yep.
14 is fully loaded. It's got tons of crap on it. It's got a Helix 7 and it'll be
Mhm.
loaded down. I'm gonna put the 180 on my 12 because it's smaller and there's nothing on the 12.
Yep.
It'll be a river boat for river tournaments. If we have a tournament on the river, I'm going to put the motor on it. I'm not even going to have nothing. That's it. There'll be nothing else on it. I'll have one Plano box. It'll be light as hell, but it'll have a motor, and I can drag that damn thing in the water, slap my motor on it, and go boom.
Yeah, that's my plan. My plan is actually to go bigger, but I really like the native Titan X. That's kind of where I'm heading as far as being a bigger guy, the way that kayak is designed. That's really what I want to do, and I'm actually really pissed because I didn't think things through. So I went into this season thinking I was going to put spot lock on my bass boat because the motor I have on my bass boat's an old cable drive motor guide. It's actually underpowered for my boat. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use my tax return. I'm going to buy a spot lock trolling motor, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I ended up not doing that because I didn't want to, like, because I didn't want to spend the money, right? But what I'm kicking myself in the ass for is I was at the New England, um, it's a trade show in New England, and it was in Marlboro, Mass. Dude, they had a fully rigged Titan. It was this year's Titan with a Newport for $3,200. It was a
Oh
show
my
deal.
god.
Now you had to buy your own battery, but still,
Yeah.
like that was what it cost for the kayak. So they basically gave you the kayak at cost with the
Yeah, that's
rigging on it.
insane. My buddy
And
Josh fishes. My buddy Josh fishes. He fishes out of a Titan. What is it? God, it's a Titan. It's a 12 footer. It's got the big flat back on it. It's
yep,
real. I forget what it is. So we fish for River Sports Outfitters is a local dealer here. I fish for Hobie.
okay,
My buddy Gary fishes for Jackson, and then my buddy Josh fishes for uh, Native, and he got a Native Titan. That's what it is. It's a
yep,
Native Titan.
yeah. So the Titan X, what they changed on it, the little things they changed from Titan to Titan X was the seat
Yeah.
has a swivel,
Yep. I seen that. Ain't that what
but
Greg
that's
Blanchard's
cool.
got now?
Yep,
Ain't nobody
that's.
got a time.
I think he. I can't. Don't quote me on this, but I think he had some like design elements. Like he's one of the ones that helped like design it. The other thing that they did with the native design, with the way they do their drive, is their drive actually has a lip around where the drive goes down through.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike my old town where there's just a hole in the floor, when you pull that drive up and out, you don't get that like flood because there's a
Yeah.
lip all the way
When
around
you
it.
watch Greg Blanchard's videos, his floor is flooded.
Yeah.
Hey, give me 1 second. I've got to
Sure.
break the seal. I've got to run. I've been
No,
drinking.
you're
I've
good.
drank 3 or 4 beers. So give me just 1 second. I'll be right back.
No, you're good. Send me your missile baits. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I see I still got a few of you. The regulars are all hanging out, guys. His channel is really cool. I definitely recommend checking that out. I follow it. I actually met him in a live stream previously with Daniel on Make and Tane, but he hangs out with Alex Rudd and Creek Fishing Adventures, and he has a really, really cool channel. So definitely don't hesitate to go subscribe to his because I watch his videos too. But on the kind of on the conversation I was asking earlier, the guys from Vermont, are you guys going to go out and try to catch bass this weekend? Do you think that they're going to be hitting on like slow moving baits, or you think they're going to be doing the whole like real lethargic deal?
Boom.
Just
There we go.
asking
All
these
right.
guys a question. So, so the thing about the Titan that I like is the way they did for rigging. So the Titan X, what they modified about that kayak is they added a port on the front, two on the sides in your like in your cockpit area, and one in the back, which actually has a plate that's like attached that you can drill through the run wires. So you don't have to put holes in your kayak
And
to rig it. And all those covers are replaceable, so you can drill a hole, put your grommets in, and then if you decide to sell the kayak, you can just buy another plate, and
oh,
they
that's
can just.
awesome. Yeah.
So you don't have to have the wiring that they had. You can just
Yeah.
basically replace it and have it be complete. Because as you know, like especially if you have a like a motor and all that stuff, when you start putting, I'm actually doing that for my buddy. I'm actually gonna be doing a video on it. Actually, this right here, there's a bag back here. Some of these boxes behind me. Um, he does YouTube like me, and what I actually did is I actually invested in one of these just to run GoPros on. So it's a little
Yeah.
30
Oh,
amp
really?
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did on my kayak is I put that in, and then I ran a fuse block, and I ran one set of wiring to the front and one set of wiring to the back, and then I actually run it into like the motorcycle, like the SAE plugs that they use on motorcycle accessories all the time.
Yeah.
So I ran the wires to those. So I wired my fish finder to the male version of that plug. I ran my GoPros. They make a SAE to USB, and that's designed for motorcycles so guys can charge their phones and stuff with their motorcycles. But I bought those so I can run my GoPros directly off that battery. So I don't have to have freaking battery banks or change my batteries on my GoPros all the time. Yeah. Yeah. See,
I'll do it.
that's
That's
how
how
I
I
used
do
to
mine.
do it, dude.
Just like that. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
how
it
I used to
works.
do
It
mine.
works for me. Yeah. It works. So
And
I,
honestly, for you, it's probably almost better because of where you're fishing. Because you could dump your kayak, you could like you now that extra wiring
well,
is going
yeah,
to get
no,
corroded and rusty, and
yeah.
it's not going to be worth having all that
Because
stuff.
I mean, well, that's okay. So that's true because I've got 3 kayaks. I've got a PA 14, I've got the PA 12, and then I've got the Sholey. So having those external batteries connected, like here's
Yep,
my back camera. That's my back camera. It's the same way.
yep, dude.
It's I've got it all
Did
ghetto
you get
rig, but
that battery bank at Walmart?
this one did come from Walmart. Yeah,
That
that one
looks
did.
like the one I use. It's like I
The
have
other
the
one,
same one.
the other one's a skull candy, like headphones and
Yep,
stuff. That
yep,
one's the green one's a skull candy. But dude, I mean, I can go out there. I can do an
all day.
8-9 hour trip and still have 50% battery left on
Yep,
those things. So it works.
yep,
I run my graph, which stays in the front hatch of the kayak. I run that off of a 18 amp hour lithium, and then my
yep.
motor obviously runs off these 100 amp hour lithium batteries. Now I'm talking to the lead time like I said, so I signed up for them. I reached out to Newport. They accepted a bunch of people on their ambassador program. They're doing this, I guess,
Yeah.
to promote Newport and stuff like that. Depending on, I guess, your social media, people got different things. I got a few buddies that got accepted. They get like 30% off. I get
Yeah.
30% off, but they also gave. I'm waiting on them to send me the link, but I also get $1,000 to spend. So that's what
Wow.
I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that $1,000 to buy my NK300.
Yep.
So when that happens, that's a 36 volt motor. So I'm talking to Lead Time now. They've sent me so much stuff, and that's
Good.
why I love Lead Time. They're an amazing company. I'm hoping. I'm waiting to. I've been talking to them. I'm hoping they're going to send me a 36 volt,
Yep.
55 amp hour battery to power my
That right
NK300.
there, that's the advantage. So that is where kayak fishing would not be where it is without lithium, because a
Oh
36
yeah, for
volt
sure.
AGM
Yeah,
or lead acid would sink your fucking kayak.
yeah,
Like that would
yeah,
be a huge. You'd be running three. You couldn't run that much weight in your kayak. You'd sink it.
yeah,
But like
yeah,
a 36-volt lithium is
yeah. 55 amp
it's
hour.
not very big.
No, it's like the one they have, 36 volt, 55 amp hour is only like, God, it was like 30 something pounds or something like
Yeah,
that.
a lot of the
40,
ones I've
maybe
seen
40.
are
It's not big at all.
no. No, if you think about, like, if you look at the 36-volt lithiums, like if you start to get over 100 amp hour, you're talking about a whole different battery. But
Oh
anything
no, yeah,
under
that
100
is, yeah,
amp hour is like I think a 36. The ones I've seen are smaller, but almost the same size as a regular AGM 12-volt.
well, if you
But
go to
that's a
like
36-volt system. It's
yeah,
huge.
if you go to Newport's website, they only offer like a 30 amp hour
Yeah.
battery. That's it. It's like their biggest one is like 30
Yep.
amp hours.
Yeah.
And then I realized Lead Time, who I work with, they've got a 55 amp hour.
Yep.
So I could put that 55 amp hour 36 volt battery with that NK300, and I've never run it
Cook.
dead, bro.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and I definitely
Yeah.
want that 300 because I've blasted off at the ramps with some of these guys. It's got like the
Mhm.
Torpedo 1103s, a little bit bigger, the 3 horsepower. Dude, they're gone.
Gone.
Even with me having the
Yep.
180, they're twice as fast as me. So I'm like,
Yep.
okay, if I can get this deal with Newport, get this $1,000 and get this motor and save all
That'd
this
be
money and
cool.
get these batteries, I got to get that
Yeah.
NK300. That way
That's what I'm gonna do with mine. If I get a Titan, because that actually has the Titan actually has the Newport bolt pad, like it's
yeah.
already there.
Well,
It's
my
already
buddy
built
Josh
into it.
my buddy Josh has it right there on the back. The
Yep.
Titan, it has it right there on the back.
Yeah, they
What is?
literally have a
I'm,
bolt plate back there.
yeah, I'm trying to think of what his is called. It's the Titan. It's the 12. I know it's a Titan. It's big green, big and black green. The back of that damn kayak is like 4 foot wide and just completely flat. You know what I'm
Yep.
talking about? I can't
Yep.
think of the exact name of that thing. It's the Titan.
Yep.
I have no idea. It's 12
They
footer though.
they yeah, they what's cool about those is that what I like about the Titans is that they did the rudder underneath, but
Hmm.
it's a drop rudder. So like when you let it go, it drops down below like a skag. So it really helps you
Okay.
control. But then you can
Yeah.
lift it and it's level, and there's a keel there that like it kind of protects it. So it gives you like way more control. Whereas my old town's got the like old school like beaver tail style that flips off the back.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't like if you get in a real good current or a wind, it doesn't like it turns the rudder, and you're constantly having to fuck with the rudder to get like adjusted. The Hobie's a whole different game because you can turn your drive and your rudder and kind of really, I mean, you can fucking
Well, if you got a
parallel
360,
bank if you got
depends
360,
on if you.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have. Both of mine are 180s. So
gotcha.
Alex has got the new 360, the brand new one. I went with him for the first time when he got his new one from the dugout bait and tackle. And that dude, them 360s are just.
Nuts.
That's my plan is to get a 360, my 12 for through River Sports, who I'm sponsored by, but I have to sell the one I got now,
Right.
the 12. So I'll just keep the 12. It's fine. I never hardly use it. It'll be a river kayak.
Yep. Yeah, no,
But
that's a pretty decked out
the,
river kayak
the,
anyways, so I mean,
yeah, the only thing about those Titans is like Josh. Every time we go out on a trip, he's got water in that kayak. Every
yep.
time,
Yep.
I don't know why, but those things feel it just they take on water. I don't know
So
what it is.
the older model, now the newer ones still have water in them from what I've heard, but the older ones was like it was notorious. And the worst part about the older one was the way the one mistake they made with the older models, which is why I won't buy the older model, is they created an access port in the tank well that's level, so it's a level deck. So from where your pedal drive is, your seat's on a track, but it's all level across. There's
Mhm.
no support pillar. There's nothing in between the front and the back, so the water can go back and forth. And
Mhm.
behind you is your rudder control, and there's like a port there that allows you to get inside the kayak, but they leaked. So like the water that was in the kayak would end up in the kayak because the rudder control was there and everything. So when they tighten X, they actually put like a bank, and then that rudder control and port are up above that like sloped
Yeah,
part.
yeah. Because
So even if you
Josh said,
do get water, you don't get any in there.
yeah, Josh said he thinks all the water is coming back where the rudder is, where the it's
Yep.
like a circle plate on the top. It's got the strings.
Yep.
Pretty sure that's where the water's coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what was notorious for that. They supposedly did some work to fix that. The thing is, dude, my old town has this much water in it all day long. It's because I'm too fat, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, dude,
I know a couple other guys that have them that it doesn't have that
my
problem. But
yeah, my first pedal kayak I bought a. I know a lot of people's probably heard of it by now. They've kind of come out. They're definitely a cheaper pedal drive kayak. Hoodoo. It's called
yep.
Hoodoo something. I bought a Hoodoo Tempest 120 PDL or something. I don't know. I had to leave the scupper plugs in it because and even then I was 200 pounds and it was, dude, I'd have, if I took the scupper plugs out, I had too much water in it. I had to leave the scupper plugs in. But I mean, that
So
was a good little first. Huh?
I had to take
It,
mine out
oh,
because the
really?
water couldn't get back out.
Yeah. It's so much coming in. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Mine, if I took them out, it filled up with water. I mean, I had
Oh yeah.
two inches of water throughout the entire bottom of the kayak. And I
Yeah.
was just like, I had that thing for probably 3 or 4 months and I sold it. I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah, I
So I
actually bought
had,
plugs that weren't the one-way valves. I bought actual plugs, and
yeah,
I would never get rid of the water, so I actually pulled all the plugs because at least the water would recirc a little bit. Because what would happen is I'd always have water, but it would get so freaking hot by the end of the day that the water would almost burn you in the bottom of that kayak sitting in the sun all day
dang,
because it was like sitting in the bottom and it wasn't moving around. It was just there. Because I
yeah,
know if I get going pedaling fast enough, I can get that kayak to almost rise and then the water will reduce, but it's because I'm pushing the weight limit on it.
yeah. That's
And
how I
that's
was with
why
that
I want to
one.
get a new one.
Yeah, that's, dude, my Hobie. I knew I wanted a Hobie. Like I always knew that was my goal was to get a Hobie. And then it's crazy how many people hate Hobies too. I don't even know why they hate on why they hate on Hobies, but they do. You can't beat it. Like I have a 600-pound weight capacity. I have
Yep.
graphs. I have, dude. I put my kids on it with me. I've got a
Yep.
motor with batteries, almost 40-pound batteries. I've got a black pack full. I've got a motor on the back. I've got a Helix 7. I've got tons of stuff, and I can still put my kids on there with me. 600-pound weight capacity. It's crazy. No water comes through anything. I have no water in the floor of my kayak at all. It's amazing. It's like a boat. It's a small John boat.
Yeah, my problem with the Hobie is the fact that I started with a regular bicycle pedal. So now I am so instinctually driven to pedal backwards on hook set that it would
Yeah.
take me a huge adjustment to go to that style drive because I didn't even realize it. Like I actually had people comment on it. I didn't even realize how instinctual it was until I had people actually talk to me watching my videos, and they're like, "Oh my god, that is so cool that you're able to like stay right in place by backpedaling." And I watched the video, and it's at the point now where like I'll backpedal before I hook set. Like I'm at the point now where I kind of feel like okay, that's a bite. I automatically pump backwards once and do
Yeah,
that
hit
hook
it.
set. And
Yeah.
a lot of the places that I fish, if I don't do that, I'm going right into the like pads or grass that I'm fishing. And there's a lot of places that I fish that are almost like Florida, where it's like so thick vegetation, you're punching mats and stuff like that. And if you go flying in there and you don't adjust quick enough, you're gonna ruin the whole bite because you're
Yeah.
basically just ejected all those fish as you came in. So, and having to actually like reach down and pop something to go in reverse to backpedal to get that fish out of there. Because a lot of times I end up like literally taking like a heavy rod, throwing like a horny toad, and hook the fish, and I don't even reel. I have to just basically backpedal because that thing has got a ball of shit on
Grass
that
on
fish
it.
so
Yeah.
bad that I'm basically just dragging him out, and then I'll fight him
But
once he gets
so
in.
I've had both, and that Hobie is just so much easier to pedal. I've got like
Yeah.
I never got in a Hobie before when I had my actual bicycle pedal drive.
Yeah.
But once I got in a Hobie, I was like, holy shit, this is so much better than that. Which is, but like you said, that is one thing is you do have that automatic reverse though. You do have to pull that reverse cord. But I mean, I've been doing it now for a couple of years, close to a couple of years. It don't even bother me at all. And the
Yeah.
Hobie's so big and it's so big and bulky.
Yeah.
It's not like a smaller kayak where when you set the hook and you got to put it in reverse because you're moving in this little kayak. The Hobie's so big, you're basically in a boat. You, so when you set the hook and you're
Right.
fighting that fish, you're not moving around as much as you would in a
Yeah.
smaller kayak. You're in a 14-foot, almost 40-inch wide, almost a John boat.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to use that, but it does happen. So when I'll be reeling down, I'll set the hook on a fish and I'll be fighting it, whatever. Sometimes I'll keep that pressure and I'll just pull that cord real quick, put it in reverse and back up.
Yeah.
It's not as complicated as it seems. It's just like
Yeah.
you do now, figuring it out with your putting it in reverse real quick. You'll figure out the same thing with the Hobie. You'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, I can do
Yeah.
this real quick. Boom.
I'm not gonna lie. The one thing that I've been back and forth on it, to be honest. Like, it's a price point thing, and it really comes down to what I can afford at the time.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I will say is I love my Old Town. Like, I love that kayak, and I've spent, dude, I don't even know how many hours in it. But the fact is, Old Town has not innovated, and don't get me started about that stupid e-bike thing. That was not a good idea. It just really wasn't. Um, the fact is they haven't changed their kayaks since the Predator, the Old Town. I don't care how many times you change the name of that kayak, you didn't change it. You can
Yeah.
call it the Sportsman, the Top Water, the Predator. It's the same kayak that Alex made a TikTok video about 5 years ago. It's the same hull, it's the same design. They haven't innovated, whereas Native has come out with really cool stuff. And Hobie's stuff, the only thing that would suck for me on the Hobie is I'd have to buy a lot of adapters and stuff because I have all
The
track,
H rail. Yeah.
accessories, and I need the H rail. But the H rail, it's kind of freaking like looking at the way the H rail is set up. It's pretty
It's
slick for the way
nice.
you
Well,
adjust.
but I have done that though. I don't buy a lot of the Hobie accessories. I've got the T track, so
Yeah,
I'll buy. I've bought a couple little adapters to put on there. There's a company, I forget the name of it. Obviously, Yak Attack come out with the
yeah,
smaller. It mounts to the H rail and it's got a T track on the top. But I bought something that's 12 inches long and it mounts to the H rail. So I've got my graph. My buddy makes a thing. It's called a bass platter, and it mounts right under. It goes around. So I've got my graph, and I've got this little bass platter that goes around my graph. It mounts to that T track,
yeah,
and it's got little spots for like my dip and glow. I can hang my baits on it, my pliers, kind of like something
nice.
like Yak Gadget or something. Um,
Yep,
but I don't use a lot of the Atro stuff. I've got all the little adapters and stuff like that. I just because
yeah,
mostly everything's T track, and you can get it for half the price as you can the Hobie stuff.
and that's what I would end up having to do. And that's, to be honest, I haven't really committed. I'm getting a new kayak within 2 years. I just need a bigger, a 10-foot kayak, and people don't realize it. So
I couldn't do it.
12-foot versus 10-foot is a monumental difference in a kayak. It really is. The
It's insane.
tracking, the ability to, the space you have, like it's just an entirely different boat. And My
Have you
kayak will
thought
definitely
about
be 12 feet.
Have you thought about getting the 120 PDL? That's
So I
relatively
did, but the
affordable.
problem with it
And
is it's the same weight capacity as what I have now, and I'm
oh, is
gonna
it
end up with
really?
the same problems. Yeah, it didn't actually increase much in the weight capacity.
You're gonna have to get a Hobie,
That's the
dude.
issue.
You're gonna have to
I
get you a
it's
PA12. A little more
um
affordable. Here's my thing. Okay, marketplace. Find a
yep.
used one. So, speaking of all the stuff, I couldn't afford to buy a Hobie. I couldn't. I wanted one. I couldn't afford it. I had a buddy, which is crazy. This is the top. This so going to kayak fishing. This is the type of people you meet through kayak fishing. Got a buddy,
Right.
Chris Franklin. He found a Hobie on marketplace. List. I've never hung out with this dude on a personal level, fishing only, but we've become good friends through fishing.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, I found this Hobie. It's a really good deal, $3,000." I don't even know if he want me to say this for people to know because he did it to help me. He was like, "Look, I've got a little extra money, and I will loan it to you." He's like, "I know you've got kids, you got an income tax coming, blah blah blah. I'll loan you the money." Dude, he sent me the money on PayPal,
Yeah.
and I went and bought that kayak for $3,000. He's like, "Pay me back when you get your taxes." I was like, "Okay." I I told my Alina, I was like, "Hey, I know you don't want this, but I've got to get this kayak. Like this is my
Yeah.
dream. I love this stuff. I love fishing. I'm buying this kayak." She's like, "Okay, go do it." So he sent me the money. I went and bought the kayak. That's the only reason I was able to get a Hobie. And then when it come time to give him his money back, dude, I've never had this happen. I got audited by the IRS. I did not get my freaking taxes for
Oh
8
man.
months. So I had to go get a loan. I had to
Yeah.
go I had to find somewhere to get a loan quick because he had to file his taxes. So I had to go get a loan, borrow the money just to give him his money back because I didn't want to leave him in a situation because he
Right.
was nice enough to help me. So then I ended up having to pay payments on my. That's how I got my Hobie. I didn't have enough money to just go drop it on
Yeah.
a new kayak. I bought one used, 2019, but dude, it's amazing. Still a great kayak. I use it all the time.
That's the beauty of mine is that at the point where the good thing about it is I've drilled some holes in it, I've rigged it up, but I could sell mine for 1800.
Dude, they hold their
You know what I
value.
mean? And that's the
Yeah,
thing. So like that's where like I think what I'm gonna do next year is I've been trying to save my money up, and I really honestly, and if you're a kayak dealer, hit me up. What I really want to do is I want to talk to a kayak dealer and like try to get like them to just give me one at cost or something, like, and then I'll
that's
advertise for you, and I'll pay cost, cool, because that's a deal, and then talk about, I'll promote your
yep.
shop, I'll talk about where I got it from, and you basically paid nothing because
Do you
I'll pay
have any
everything.
do you have any local dealers around you?
Not really.
No.
Not in a brand that I would want. There's a couple of feel free dealers that I don't really want to feel free. That's to me, it's nothing against feel free, but it's more entry level, and I'm looking to upgrade from the old town, and the feel free is
Yeah.
kind of in the same tier, as
So
that.
that's how I got my second Hobie is I fished for River Sports. It kind of worked out that same way. It's a dealer. I went down, sat down with them, had this almost like a business meeting. What do you want? This is what we want. And they gave me a 2000, let's see, a 2022 PA12.
Nice.
But now nobody knows this. I haven't even said anything about it to nobody. But I'm friends with the Jackson rep, and we have our fishing show here, the East Tennessee Fishing Show every year, and he works the fishing show. He wants me with Jackson, so I
And
got
Yar
offered a
is a
deal.
nice boat.
I got offered recently, just in the last month. I got offered if I would fish for out of it ain't necessarily for Jackson.
Right.
This is for he's a rep for Jackson, and he just want he Jackson's in Tennessee as well. Jackson
Right.
Kayaks is in Tennessee. I got a buddy that fishes for Jackson. My buddy Gary fishes for him. But the rep offered me to fish. Obviously, I'd have to take my Hobies, which is what's killing me, is putting them away and not use them.
Right.
He offered me a Jackson R. He offered me a Jackson Kusa X, which is the equivalent to like the Sholey. And then he offered me the Jackson Kusa HD, the new one. It's the pedal drive or the
Yep.
FD.
Yep. Yep.
So
FD.
they so basically, if I was like, hey, let's do this. I'll fish. I'll
Yep.
do videos for Jack to talk about these kayaks and stuff. And so that's on the table. I could do that right now. I could get a NAR, I could get the Kusa X, and I could get the river kayak, which would be the Kusa FD or
Right.
whatever pedal drive. I could get 3 kayaks right now, but I've already got 3 kayaks out there right now, so I'm kind of like,
Right.
I don't know what to do. I love my Hobies though, so I don't know. I don't know. I do like Jackson. They're great kayaks, but I love my Hobies and I love my Sholey as well.
See, I
Which
looked at the NAR.
Drew Gregory, yeah, he hooked me up on the Sholey.
The Sholey. If I could do a second kayak, like if I wanted to get, like if I had a, say I got a Hobie or a Native Titan, right, and I could get a second kayak, it would be a Sholey, just because of
Yeah,
the abilities. That kayak is specifically designed for, like, if you need a second one to do what you guys do, like when you
yeah,
go in a river, you want to beat it across some rocks and go down through. That's what you want, because
yeah.
you don't want to really take. I mean, you can. Don't get me wrong. You definitely can. But like a Hobie in rapids isn't going to be as.
I,
It's not
I've done
designed
it.
for that.
Yeah, I've got a video on my channel going with Alex and John. I don't even know what they were in. They might have been in Sholeys, and I didn't have a Sholey at the time, and I brought that PA12, and we went down a little river.
Yes,
But it did work though. I had that pedal
it
drive,
will.
which has it's kick up, but the Sholey is I could not ever fish like the way I kayak fish. I could never not have my Hobies, and then I could never not have my Sholey because they both
Yep.
have their
You
own
need you
purpose.
need that equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to have both of them. Yeah, absolutely.
No, and that's kind of my goal next year. Is I want to try. That's honestly that's one of the reasons why I used to shut the podcast I started. Um, and I used to shut it down during fishing season because I was like, I just did it in the wintertime just to make extra content and do stuff. But
Yeah,
my goal is to try to grow my channel. I just barely hit the 1,000 mark, So like you were saying, I remember when I hit 1,000, like that's what I just hit. And my goal ultimately is to try to grow my presence enough where I can make a deal with someone to try to get a discounted kayak and then be able to, because I don't even care if it's like a showroom model, or I'm not picky, dude. Like I don't really
yeah,
care about that. It's more about if I could get one on a discount, and the thing is I'm not going to save money. I tell you right now, if you guys are kayak anglers or getting into kayak angling, you're not going to save money on a kayak, because you're going to end up being like, okay, I saved $1,000 on this kayak. Now I'm going to buy these other 12 accessories that I wasn't going to buy before because I can buy them now because I have that extra. Like, you end up like constantly tinkering with those things. Like, you're always like, oh,
yeah.
I really
You're
wish I had
still
a rod holder here. I wish I had
yeah.
this there. And
But you got to look at it like this though. If you can get it at cost, and it does save you $1,000, that $1,000 can go towards those products.
yep,
So see, I mean,
yep,
so
exactly.
you are kind of saving money because if you don't save that 1,000, you're paying $3,000 for it, and then you're spending another $500. So there's a lot of companies around here. We've got a few local dealers, and a lot of the guys that fish on these teams for those dealers, they do get like that's their deal. They get those kayaks at cost.
Yeah.
I
And
see
that's what's
somebody
crazy is
comment about a 2016 Pro Angler for 2,200.
that's a good deal.
I mean, that is a good
Depends on
deal.
the condition it's in.
Yeah, I mean, that's an older kayak. Mine's a 2019. They've made some changes on those
Yep,
kayaks,
yep.
once you get up to like 2008,
Well,
2019.
well, and the
But that
16 is definitely not going to have the 360 either. That's only going to have the 180, right? They didn't even have a 360 then, did they?
no. Mine's not a 360.
Yeah.
And that thing is the 360 basically now is a whole nother deal. You still have 2024 PA14 180s, but
Yep.
then you
They're
have the
still there. Yep.
360. But there are a few small things that are different. If those people would take $2,000, maybe
Yeah.
$1,900, that could be a good deal.
And
But
it depends
even
what it comes
if
with too, because is it coming with graphs and a bunch of accessories, or is it just a straight kayak
yeah,
too? Because that's the other
I mean,
thing.
I paid 3,000 used for a PA-14 2019. So you could put $800 more with that and get a 3 or 4 year, newer kayak that's 14 foot. So I would definitely keep looking around instead of buying that one that's 2016, because you could probably find a PA-12 for 2,500 that's a 2018 or 1900
Yeah,
for a few more bucks.
yeah.
So I would definitely keep looking, and like you said, it depends on the quality and stuff like that.
So the biggest thing with condition, and that's what Michael Brother is asking, is a few things to look at is guys are really good at hiding where they've drilled holes. So you want to look at that because guys will seal up holes and things like that. And honestly, if you look at the bottom of the kayak, like a lot of people don't think about looking at it, but you
I'm
get
gonna go to
guys
the
like
bathroom again.
you
I'll be
get
right
guys
back, and
like John.
I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna run to the bathroom, and then I'm gonna answer some questions on his last question real quick when I get back too.
Awesome, yeah. So one of the things to look for, Michael, is look at the bottom and see how scuffed up it is. Because some guys are really good about taking care of the kayak, and some are dragging that thing across the whole boat ramp before they throw it in their car. And there is wear that will happen on the bottom of them. And the drives in Hobies are belt driven. So the drive itself can have some maintenance that's required. There's some brands that have like a maintenance free drive, whereas Hobie does not have a maintenance free drive. You do have some things where you're going to take it apart and actually have to fix components in there. One of the biggest things that breaks on kayaks is actually the rudder cables and things like that. So you want to make sure the rudder raises and lowers and that you can actually turn it, because a lot of that stuff is connected through cabling that runs to the back of the kayak, and if the cables break or get like caught up, then it's a problem. And I'm sure Josh has got a couple other things for sure on condition to look for when you're looking at a used kayak.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't hear anything you said. So when I went and bought mine, my PA-14 used. So before you launch it, if it's say you're launching at a boat ramp, make sure the front end's facing down the hill. Open up that front hatch on that PA-12, and they usually got a little like a little white thing that's in the front that you can put
Well,
stuff in.
tank that's in there, yeah.
Yeah, pull that out. See if there's any water in there. If there is any water, mine had water in it because the kid washed it. So when he sprayed it down with a water hose, it got water in it. Drain all the water out. Take a towel, an OT shirt, dry it out really good. Put everything back in it and take it out on the water for 30. I mean, if you're going to spend that kind of money, 22, 23, 24, 2,500 bucks, take that thing out on the water and pedal it around for 30, 45 minutes. Take
Yep.
it back to the ramp. Make sure that front end's back down. Open up the hatch. Pull that thing back out and look and see if there's any water. That's the main thing. Make sure your rudder and stuff when you're turning works properly. Check your drive. Make sure the drive, works relatively smooth and stuff like that. And then, like you said, check for holes. If people's drilled
Yep.
holes, make sure there ain't no cracks. Flip that thing up. Look on the bottom for cracks and rashes. A lot of people will run these kayaks up onto the ramp, and they'll say they're at the end of the day they're fishing, they're going back to the ramp, they'll just run it up on the ramp. That front of that hole will start to wear out. You want to check and make
Yep.
sure you're not that close to having a hole in that thing. And if you do buy one, put a kill guard on it. Buy a kill guard that goes
Yep.
on the front of those kayaks. That way, if you do run up on that's what I did. I bought a kill guard that protects the front end of that kayak when I'm running it up on the ramps and stuff like that.
Yep.
But that's definitely something. Just check all the little things that have got moving parts, the drive, check all those things, make sure everything works properly. But the main thing is check inside the hull, make sure there's no water. If there is, drain it, take it out on the lake. And then when you come back after 30, 45 minutes, make sure there's no more water in it. And if you do
Yep.
got water in it, you've got a leak somewhere. And I would avoid that kayak.
Yep, exactly. Now I was saying the same thing about the probably the biggest thing, which you already kind of touched on, is like rudders. because they're cable driven. So they snap the
Yeah.
rudders. Even my old town, I can't raise lower. So the lever that raises and lower is snapped inside,
Yeah.
and
I just
there's
did that
no
on
way
mine
to fix
recently.
it.
Well,
There's
I
no way
had
to
to
fix
fix
it.
mine.
Like,
Oh, it was so hard. On mine, the Hobies, I was
yeah,
pulling it up and the cord broke. The part that raises it, not the part that
yep,
steers it. Dude, it was still. It took me 2 hours, 3 hours to
yep.
fix that thing. It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, so what they do with Old Town is they have it's probably similar, but the way it works is the handles in there, it's like wrapped around in a weird fucking figure eight pattern, and then there's another block that's a just beyond where you could get your hand up in there. And it's like a block that actually like guides it. And it
So
broke at that
annoying.
block. So I can't even fix it because I'd have to be inside the like I swear to God they roto mold this shit into it. Like I think they stop halfway through the process, put this wire in, and then finish roto molding it because there's no way
Yeah,
someone is installing that.
impossible.
And so now what I do to raise and lower, to lower, I take my paddle and I flip it up. And to keep it down, because the way the Old Town one is it actually needs tension on it to stay down, otherwise it will just float up. So there's actually a cable inside that when you turn your lever up, it actually holds it down. It puts pressure on the rudder to keep it down. I actually pulled the cap off. I pull the wire that holds it down, and I have a cleat, and I just like tighten it down so that I can keep it down. And then when I need to release it, I just release it, and then I just drive it right into the freaking boat ramp, and it kicks up because it has no tension on it now.
Yeah,
But then I have to
I
get in
had
the water to flip it back over.
I had to remove foam. Like so, the Hobie's got like these foam
Yep.
blocks inside of it. When I was trying to replace the
Yep.
cord, I would pull it up and try to drop it back down. It wouldn't drop. And
Yep.
granted, I could not get inside this. I'm going through a
No,
square
you
block
can't.
that's like 10 inches wide. And I'm
Yep.
sticking my head in there looking and it's catching on this foam block. So I had to remove this like 14-inch block and completely just pull it out. And
Yep.
now my rudder, it don't work as good as factory, but it's no issue. I fixed it. Thank God.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. That's where I've been debating. Like the Hobie thing, I really was like heart set on the Jackson R originally. And then I started looking at the Titan and I really like the Titan. The thing about the Hobie that has me intrigued is I would end up getting a 360 if I did get a Hobie. Is I've seen guys that I've competed against in the 360s where like if you turn your rudder and your drive the right direction, you can parallel a bank real easy because you can turn
Oh,
your
dude.
rudder completely sideways, turn your rudder and your drive, and you can literally just go right along a
Oh,
freaking bank
no, it's it. That's
smooth.
it.
And
Yeah, that's what makes it.
that's huge.
Yeah,
And
I
those flip up
going
fins
out
on the
with
Hobie are
Alex.
another nice thing
We
too.
we talked. Well, yeah, the kick-up drive. But I was with Alex the end of last year floating down the river, and I hit a boulder in the water. I mean, look at my pinky now, that length. I don't even know what that length is, but it was that
No.
much above the kick up, and it hit the spine of my drive and busted it. Now I got to pay 300 and something dollars for a new spine. It hit right
Yep.
above the kick up. Hey, I just think something funny. I may be stupid for even commenting on this, and I may get you in trouble, but I think it's your wife or somebody's.
Yeah.
I think it's your. You should tell Bear Fishing to come get all of his packages, dude. That's
Yeah.
smooth. That's
So this
smooth.
right here. This right
Yeah,
here
those
is my
those
so
are
my
Bear.
boys so my buddy from
I'm just
Canada.
kidding.
Oh
I'm
no,
just saying
dude.
like it's a like oh no those are John's packages. Those ain't
So
mine.
it actually to be honest, they are his, but it would be a good trip.
Yeah.
So what happened is he's from Canada, right? And he can't get
Yeah,
Bass Pro up there. They don't ship up there.
really.
They just don't
That's
ship
cool,
there.
but it's cool you can do that for him though.
So he comes down and fishes with me a lot, and he was because they're having a I don't know if you've seen their site, like dude, there's that sale they had was fucking nuts.
I haven't no.
They
Dude,
had
I'm the
like
worst at buying stuff. Like I ain't bought nothing new in months and months and months. I'm one of those guys that I go out and fish, and if this crankbait lasts for 5 months, I'm going to use that crankbait. I'll change the hooks on
Yeah,
it. Dude, I ain't
gotcha.
bought nothing new in forever. So I
See,
don't get on here.
I'm bad about it. So they had a really, really good sale, right? And I was telling him about like stuff that was on there. And he was like, "Yeah, but dude, I can't order it here." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, they won't ship to Canada." And I'm like, "They ship to the US." And he goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Here's my address, dude." And it, because the
Yeah.
thing is like I was like, "Dude, you're gonna be fishing with me." He's coming down on the 10th, and we're rigging it. Like I was saying earlier, we're rigging up his kayak. Matter of fact, one of these packages, I think it's right here. This is his wiring.
That's
I
fun.
gave him a shopping list, and he's coming down. I took a day off from work, and I had him send me all the stuff because I have the exact same kayak as him. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna literally go out. I already know how to wire it because I've wired mine, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is actually take my kayak, lay the wires out, and build a harness ahead of time. So I'm going to run the fuse block. I'm going to have everything wired into the fuse block, have everything ready to go to basically mount inside, and then just stuff the wires up underneath, pop them through, and all I got to do is wire the plugs on the other end to his cameras and shit. So it's like
Yeah.
I'll be able to do the wiring and pre-make the harness. I'm going to make a video about all of it because that's how I did mine. So the way I rigged mine is I have the one, the fuse block to the battery. I have one that runs to my fish finder, one that runs to a SAE to USB adapter. Because I did all plugs that way. If I want to change shit out, I can just wire a new thing to a new plug instead of having a hard wired straight to the fuse block.
Yeah.
And then I have one in the back that goes for my camera in the back because my camera in my back is all the way on the back because what we did is when we took that because I told you about that motor I tried to put on it. So when I put that on there, it was too much weight and it dragged my kayak down to the point where I couldn't do it. But I left that transom mount on and I actually put a little Scotty track on there, and then I put
Mm-hmm.
my camera mount back there. So my camera's way all the way back in the back of my kayak and it's kind of like out here. So it looks back at me, but it gets any like when I net a fish, you can see like the fish swimming
Everything.
around next to me when I
Yeah.
net it and everything. But I needed power back there, so I ran it all the way through. I'm gonna do the same thing with his. I'm gonna basically pre-rig a harness for him so that when he comes down, we can throw it in his kayak and go fish.
I used to
And that's
always turn around and hit the button on my GoPro.
yep,
And I started fishing with John and Alex, and they're like, GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, start recording.
yep,
That's what I do now. I don't even touch them. And I got to do it just right. Like I turn my head just a little
yep,
bit. And I'm like, GoPro, stop recording. That way it gets both of them at the exact same time. So, and then
yeah.
we'll be out fishing, and Alex, or usually Alex, he'll be like, GoPro, stop recording. And he'll turn my cameras off. I'm like, dude.
So my buddy, so I've moved on from GoPro officially and I'm going to DJI now
That's what
because
he's running now.
I've burned up so many fucking GoPros.
Rudd.
Pissed
I'm
me off.
actually, I've got his Hero 10 somewhere. So
Yep.
he sold a bunch of cameras. Where the hell are those? Oh, okay. Thought I lost some stuff, but yeah, he went with the new DJIs,
It's his
and
fault.
yeah,
The cameras I have are his fault. So I was talking to him on
really,
Instagram. Well, because I noticed like when like if you're a content creator, you pick up things that you wouldn't necessarily pick up as someone who just watches YouTube. And all of a
yeah.
sudden his videos changed and they looked better. And I was like, what the hell is he doing differently? Like, are you using your bait camera and your kayak? Like, what are you doing differently? And then like I noticed like when I saw one of the videos of him walking around, I think it was one of the videos with like when you guys were all together and I saw him like get out of his kayak and he was like moving stuff around. I could see the camera and I'm like, that's not a GoPro. I'm like, wonder what he's using. So I ended up asking him. What's cool about the DJIs that I like the most is their app. It sounds really stupid. Like, what's the best thing about the camera? The app that comes with it. With the GoPros, you have to enable Wi-Fi mode and then connect to the GoPro through the Wi-Fi in your phone, and you have to basically come in contact with the camera to
Yeah.
enact the app. With the DJI, it uses Bluetooth, and you can literally watch a live feed from it, start, stop it, and edit a video right from the app.
See, I don't even use
So
none of that on either one. Like on my GoPros, I don't use none of the. I don't log into the GoPro app or nothing. I just
Yep.
SD card, record, come home, stick it in the computer, edit it, post it. I
See
see it,
what
but
I
a lot of guys do that though.
see. I don't normally do it on the water, but what I like about the app being able to do that is that one camera that's behind me. The
Mm-hmm.
only way I can get to that camera is a maneuver that would probably terrify my wife, who's watching this right now, watching me do it on the water, because I pull the straps on my seat, I lay down horizontal, reach back, grab the camera, pop it up, turn it, lock it down to screw with the camera.
Yeah,
So
that's
now with that app, I can literally pull up and make sure I'm getting a feed. What's cool about the app is it actually has like a little microphone thing, and it actually shows you that there's audio coming through it. Because I know you've had that
yeah,
too. Like if you have a GoPro, sometimes you're recording and there's no fucking audio. For
yeah,
some reason, it just stops recording audio, but it's still recording. And what's nice about it is you can actually see what you're seeing from that camera behind you. And what I do is I do kind of like what I call live editing. So I catch a fish or do a talking segment and then I stop my video, but I'll like yell something for editing later. So I will literally be like, okay, guys, so what we're doing is we're using a crankbait. We're going down bluff walls. And then I'll be like, crankbait, bluff walls, use this as part of the video. Stop. So then all I got to do to edit is watch the last 30 seconds of my video and I'll hear myself going, use this port or
yeah.
big fish catch or whatever, so that I don't have to spend 8 hours watching my entire day of fishing back to get the video content that I want.
Yeah, it's
So
funny how
having
everybody
that
has
app,
their, yeah, it's funny how everybody has their own little way of doing things too.
dude, it's
Like
funny
when
too.
it
I
comes to
noticed,
editing.
yeah. So I was just reading some of these comments. My wife's over here talking to the people in the chat. She's a nurse right now, and she's not supposed to be at work, but she's watching my live stream. So
Slow night.
get her busted. But no, dude, the editing thing is funny. Actually, I'm gonna be doing. I'm trying to get a group together from like the American Angler, but also some other content creators. I want to try to get some people together to like talk about those little tricks, because there's little things like that where it's interesting when you start to talk to people that do it. Like one of the things that bugs me the most, and it's kind of funny when it happens, but it pisses me off, is like I've learned that people don't want to just watch me catch a fish. Like there may be some people that enjoy that, but overall, they're going to click off the video very quickly unless I like talk about what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, or you give a little bit of detail. You got to tell that story, right? And there's
Yeah,
so many times when I've been recording, because around here there's not a lot of content creation happening. Like there's not a lot of dudes with GoPros around here. So that people aren't used to it. So I'll be going down a bank and I'll be like, okay, guys, so we're gonna fish docks. This is the bait I'm gonna use. And then I get what? And then the person on the dock is thinking I'm talking to them, but I'm talking to my camera. So I have to keep starting over again because halfway through my video I go, I can't hear you. And I'm like, I'm not talking to you. Like, or like I'll be fishing with someone who doesn't do content creation, and like I go into what I call YouTube mode, and I know you know what I mean. Like you're fishing, and then you're like all of a sudden you're like, okay, I need to like talk about something to kind of fill out this video, or I need to put something in here that I need to fill this gap because I don't have enough stuff in this video. So like I'll start telling a story or talking, but it's like you don't realize in your head that when someone's fishing with you and it's completely silent and you're just fishing and enjoying nature, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay guys, welcome to my video. Today we're gonna and then like you go back to fishing and people are like, what the fuck was that? Like where did that just come from? Because sometimes
I
I'll cheat. I admit I record my intros sometimes at the end of the day.
everybody I know knows that I film YouTube, so
Yep.
it's probably like so. If like everybody I fish with already knows, so like they're already like it's they pay no attention to it. I'll pull a camera out and be like,
Yep.
shoop, and they're like, okay, they already know what to do.
Yep.
But every once in a while, I fish with people who have never been out with me fishing, so it's probably new to them. They're kind of like,
Yep.
"What is he?" But they also know. But they still know. At the end of the day, they know
Right.
that I film you, so it ain't no big deal. But they're probably like, "Damn, he's just talking away. Like that's kind of weird." But he's filming a
So
YouTube video.
you
Yeah.
get so used to it. Like one day, one of the funniest ones I actually had happen, which is interesting because I recorded it last year, and the video is gonna hit I think next month, honestly, because I saved a bunch of videos to like it was like knot tying and like prepping stuff. So I got to the body of water, and I realized that like I didn't have enough content, so I started just like doing like my kayak was still on my trailer, and I just spun my GoPro to the side, and I was doing like tactical bassin style, where like you're looking over the deck of their boat, and I was just like talking about baits and stuff, and like over my shoulder on my camera, I could see like 4 or 5 people had just like stopped in the parking lot and were just watching me record this video. And I'm
See,
just chilling, like I'm just sitting there going, like, yeah, guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tie this leader on. I was just retying, but I was basically just doing a video about it, just to make some kind of educational content. And like after I was done, this girl walked up to me and she goes, "I don't know how you do that." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "I know you saw us. I know you knew we were there." She's like, "How did you just keep talking and not even miss a beat?" And I'm like, "To be honest, I don't even think about people being around me anymore. I have a camera. If I go fishing, I have a camera. There is
yeah,
like I tell anybody that goes
that's
fishing with me,
it.
here's the deal. You can come with me. I'm probably gonna get us on fish. There's a pretty good chance that you're gonna be able to catch fish with me. The deal is I have cameras. If you don't want to be in the video, let me know and I'll edit you out. But
Yeah,
I'm recording the entire time we're out there. Be
I don't even
prepared.
ask.
It's gonna
I just,
happen."
I just record. If they
Yep.
see my cameras and they don't want, they'll tell me. I'm recording and I'm posting it.
Yep.
Now, when I'm out on the water fishing, I'll talk and chit chat and go on. But if I do get like back to the ramp and there's like 10 people there, I'm a little awkward. So
Yeah.
I won't.
Yep.
I'll wait. I'll wait till for people to go on before I record, or I'll get in the truck. But
Yep.
like, or if, and I know people hear me. It's crazy
Yep.
because you'll see guys on a bass boat when they fire their motor up, right? And they're like talking real loud. You can hear every damn word they're saying, but they can't. It's so loud to them they don't think you can hear them. So I know it's the same way when I'm out there fishing in a kayak and
Oh,
it's
dude.
quiet. People can hear you talking. They're probably thinking like, "What the hell is this dude? Who cares?
Dude, it's
I'm
the
talking.
funniest thing.
I'm doing my thing. You do yours. Don't worry about me.
Yep.
I ain't worried about you."
Yeah, it's the funniest thing, dude, on water, especially like the sound travels so well. Like you can hear everything
Dude, it
everybody's
really,
saying.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah,
The
you hear people
funniest actually,
talking
dude,
all the time.
one of the funniest things I ever saw, dude, was that exact thing. But dude, and you'll laugh at this. And I actually, as a content creator, I wish I'd gotten it on camera and I didn't. So I went along one shoreline on this body of water. It's a small, probably like 200-acre lake, right? And there was this woman sitting in a lawn chair on her property, and she was like hollering to a loon, like she was making this noise, and the loon was calling back to her. And she was like, "Honey, honey, check this out. I'm calling to this loon, right?" So when I got to the other shoreline where this loon was, it was a fucking 6-year-old kid. So this woman was sitting on the shoreline going,
Oh, God.
"Oh, woo!" And then she thought she was talking to a loon. When I got to the other shoreline, this like heavy set kid would come running down to the beach and go, "Oh, woo!" and then run back up to his camp. So these two idiots were talking to each other across this lake for the whole day and had no idea that there
That's
was
funny.
another human on the other side. It was the
That's hilarious.
funniest shit I've ever seen. They had no idea
Damn,
that they were talking to the same person. Like it was, but
that's
yeah, dude.
funny.
Like when you're talking on the like when you're talking when you do YouTube long enough, you eventually disregard that there's people around you. You just kind of just like the way I treat it, and I think it's a little bit depending on your style of video too. I do more of like a raw video. Like my goal is that I want you to feel like you're sitting in the back of my kayak and you're just hanging out with me, and I'm just telling you what like
Yeah,
you're my
no,
fishing buddy with me, and I'm just explaining it to you. That
that's. I
that's
mean,
really my goal.
that's how I record. Like, I will show you. People probably get tired of it too. I have
Yep.
music in mine. I'll
Yep.
I'll show you me loading my kayak up. I'll like if I go on a trip down to Chickamauga and we're staying in a B and B, you're coming along for that trip. I'm
Yep.
gonna start the video out saying, all right, guys, look, we got this tournament down on Chickamauga. We're headed down here. I'm meeting Chris Franklin. I'm meeting Gary. I'm meeting this person. I'll record a little bit of views going over the rivers. I'll record the mountains. If we stop at a gas station, I'm going to show you us going in the gas station, whatever snacks we're getting and beer. When we get to the B&B or the hotel, I'm going to record some of that and show you. And then, all right, guys, we're getting to bed. We have fun tonight.
Yep.
We drink some beer. See you in the morning. I want you to come along with me and experience the trip. There's a lot of guys that don't do that.
Yep.
But if you're watching my channel, you're watching it to kind of experience that whole thing. So I'm going to take you along for that experience. Even if the video ends up being 25 or 30 minutes long, that's what I'm doing.
Well, and that's the thing that I learned. And honestly, this year, it's funny because little YouTube, little behind the curtain here. Any videos that you guys have seen on my channel, so all those that are watching right now, any videos you've seen on my channel were recorded last year, except for ice fishing. Everything that you're watching was recorded probably August of 2023. But the fact is, this year I've completely changed my mentality. And one of the things I will say that helps you the most, and I'm sure it's helped you, is fishing with other content creators and watching what they do. Like I fished with my buddy Bear Fishing, and like he was really good about like I realized that you could make a video from a single fish catch if you tell a story, if you bring the people along with you. Like I want to create an episode of like my journey. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily want to just make a bunch of fish catches in a row because anybody can do like there's
I
YouTube
agree. No,
fishing is
that's it.
becoming so saturated that you're not going to really get anywhere and no one's eventually people are going to get sick of just watching you catch fish.
Yeah.
But
At
if
this,
you could
at a certain
explain, teach, tell a story, that's a different
yeah,
thing.
at a certain point, people are following your channel because of you.
Mhm.
You won't see me, dude. You will not see me post a video where it's just like the video starts and it's like I'm just, oh, there's one, and then it's like, oh, there's one. You're not gonna see that with me.
Yep.
You're gonna know what I'm doing. I'm gonna tell you like I'm gonna give you a rundown at the beginning of the video, what's going on. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. You're gonna come along for the day. You're gonna see a lot of what's going on, and boom,
Yep.
that's it. You're gonna see the trip. You're gonna kind of experience whatever that trip was with me. That's it.
Yep.
I'm not gonna be like, oh, here's a catch. I seen a guy one time that said, dude, you talked for 3 minutes at the beginning of this video. I want to see some fish catches. Go look at some fish catches, dude.
Yep.
There's a million videos
Yeah.
of people catching fish. Go watch people catch fish.
Yep.
Watch me to watch me. This is my experience. And it's cool seeing like I've got people that's been following me for probably 5 years now that I'll get comments every once in a while. It's like, dude, it's been so cool watching you from the beginning when you were fishing out of an 8 foot pelican or whatever the hell it was
Yep.
I got. I don't even know what it was. It was 8 foot sit in awful kayak.
Yep.
And they've watched me. I've got people that's watched my channel now that before I ever even started fishing, I was doing videos up at my family's land, camping videos, building shelters and shit like
Yep.
that. Camping, building fires, cooking, whatever. That
Yep.
before I ever even started fishing. But it has 100. And I don't know if you're like a religious person. I am. I'm not as good as I should be, but I feel like everything happens for a reason, and
Yep.
it's led to fishing somehow for me. I don't know what it is. It's
Yep.
led to it, and one of the main things in my life is this kayak fishing, my YouTube channel and stuff. It's super
So
weird, but it's yeah.
so it's it's funny that you say that. So like and my wife is watching this too and like you said the group of people that follow you like Michael Bradley, Scott Vermonter, a lot of these guys I picked up from being on other podcasts. And what's interesting is that they'll watch all of my live streams, and then when I go watch other people's, like when I'm in Alex's, these guys are there. When
Yeah,
I'm in my
they're there
buddies,
too. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
there too. And like I'm part of the chat, hanging out with them when I'm watching it. But like for me, it sounds like a brag, but like I make enough financially that I can support my family. I can feed my kids. I can have the stuff that I want.
Hmm.
This is my peace of mind, my happy place. Like fishing is my Prozac. Is really
You
like
have to have it.
and content creation. became hand in hand with it, and I never really thought it would. But what's crazy is like it added this other element to fishing that I never would have thought of, because it encourages you to do things like, if I was just gonna wake up in the morning and it was pouring down rain and the wind was blowing, I may or may not want to go catch a bass. But
Yeah.
the fact that I know, like, I wanted to fish, just to give you an example, the 16 inches of snow that we got, and my wife is shaking her head right now. She's still watching. I still tried to go fishing. I just couldn't get the fucking kayak trailer out of my driveway. It was
Yeah.
froze in. I went out and examined it and went, and like you, I went out and I recorded the snowfall, because in my mind I was like, okay, I'm going to start my video with a blizzard snowfall and be like, I'm going fishing. But I couldn't get my freaking kayak out of the driveway. Otherwise, I was going.
That's
Like,
how it was with
you
us when we
have
got
this.
that 9 inches. I was like, dude, I got to go fishing.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you do the content side, what it's good because it drives me to those days that I'm like, oh, I could just sleep in. But it's like, yeah, but I really want to get a video out this week, or I really want to make that video talking about that thing I figured out, that little secret that I want to show everybody. Like, you start to really like invest in it, and then what's weird is then the editing. And my wife, like I said, she is very, very, very patient with me. And there's something about when you are making a video and you're like, babe, check out this transition. Babe, look at this. Look how I cut this fish catch into this other audio, and then I cut it into my door shutting at the end of the video. Isn't that cool? She doesn't give a shit about any of that. And she
I've done
encourages
it.
me the entire time. And she's like, she's excited because I'm excited, but she doesn't give a shit about the fact that, oh, look, when I casted, the pole went across the screen and I used that to transition to the net. Like, you start to get like as geeked out about making the video as you do the fishing trip
That
that you
might be
went
why
on.
mom. That might be why mine moved out. Because I would always,
Maybe.
I'd be like, "Come look at this," and she'd be like, "This is her exact words: is it all looks the same to me." It does, though. I can see it. It looks exactly the
Yep.
same.
Yep.
But so
Yep.
imagine this though. Imagine getting up, going to work every day. I'm lucky. I mean, I I probably should work a 40, 50 hour a week job. So I had more, but I got a little lawn care business. I go out, make my money, I pay my bills. But imagine going to work every single day, clocking in, clocking out, coming home, same thing forever, 40 years. This is our escape. This
Yep.
is YouTube content creation, whatever you want to call it, it's something that gives you hope. Maybe one day you'll be
Exactly.
Alex Rudd. Maybe one day you'll be Creek Fishing Adventures. Maybe one day you'll be John B. or Alex Perrick or
Yep.
Lake Fork. Some of these guys, you may not ever be one of those guys, but you damn sure ain't gonna be if you don't try. So it gives
Right.
you a little bit of hope and a little bit of drive to go out here and push and enjoy life. It gives you something like you ain't working and you got your day off. Hell yeah, let's go fishing. And it gives you something to do. And
Yep.
then everything's documented too. So one day, if I'm say I die early, my parents
Yep.
both died in their 40s. All my stepdad, my mom, and my real dad are all gone, and they were not even in their 50s yet. So who's to say I'm going to make it till I'm 50? So if I happen something, God forbid, hopefully it don't happen, but say I'm gone, my kids can go back, dude. They've got
Yep.
years and years of videos to watch their dad just enjoying life. And there's some videos with them in it.
Yep.
So that's how I look at it. It's like it's our escape. That when you're out there on the
Exactly.
water, it's so peaceful and you're enjoying everything about it. That's what got
And
me into
honestly,
fishing. My mom
yep.
passed away.
What?
Getting out there and
Gotcha.
just thinking about her and just enjoying
Yep.
my free time. So
Yeah. So my wife posted there. So yeah. So during that snowstorm, we couldn't get her car out. Her car. So she has a little GMC Terrain, and the snow was level with the top part of her bumper. So she couldn't get her car out to go to work. She
holy
worked
crap.
7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Right? So I actually basically convinced her, but like I didn't have to really convince her, but I was like, hey, can we leave a little bit early? Because I want to see if they plowed the boat ramp. So we went like 30 minutes out of the way around the lake to see if the boat ramp was plowed that I wanted to try to fish in the morning. Like that's how my mentality is. And like you said, the thing is like the other thing about content creation and fishing that people don't give credit to it is how many times have you gone back editing and watched your video and realized that you caught a fish in a different spot than you thought you caught it, or in a different bait, or you catch like one of the things I noticed one day was I was fishing a shoreline and I in my brain I caught that fish on a June bug Senko. That's what I caught that fish on. So I told everybody I caught that fish on. I go back and watch the video. I had switched because that bait got broke in half and I switched to a black and blue. Now the black and blue was in my June bug Senko bag, but I didn't pay attention to the fact that it was a different color and I caught that fish on a black and blue Senko. And like I would never have known that if I didn't rewatch the video. Or the other thing you catch is like you'll think that you caught it doing like a straight retrieve, but you stop to scratch your face, and that's when the fish
No,
hit
yeah.
the
No, I've
lure.
I've had things like that happen. Yeah.
And you're like,
They're
holy
eating
shit,
up
that wasn't.
calls. Yeah. Yeah.
And you start to actually get these like little things that you don't realize, like a little different pop of the reel or something. But when you watch your footage back, you see that, and you're like, holy shit, that was. I need to try that next time because you get this extra little like it's in a way kind of like having a fishing journal. It's just a live journal, so I don't have to write it down.
Yeah. Dude, no,
So
it's 100% a fishing journal.
yeah,
100%. I will literally go back and I've started like now that I've learned like so obviously I started fishing and learning along the way. When I first started kayak fishing and bass fishing, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. My buddy Matt, he's the one that thought of the name Bass and Beer. Now that I'm probably 4 or 5 years in, I'm obviously we're always still learning, but like
yeah,
I'm a competitive person, which makes me a little bit better at fishing. I feel like because I'm
yeah,
freaking competitive and I learn. But I will go back and be like, okay, it's March right now. Let me go back and look at March of 2023. Let me go back
yep,
and look at March of 2022 and
yep,
see where I was at, what I was catching, what I was throwing, and give me ideas of like where I should. Okay,
yep,
oh shit, I was catching them over here on this lake, throwing this. I'm gonna go out there and try it. So dude, it has its benefits 1,000%.
absolutely.
And
I've
things
done
do
that. That's what I've
change.
done.
It may not be the same as it was a year ago, but it might be the same as it was 2 years ago. And if you've been
Yep,
filming long enough, you could go back 3 years and look and replicate that. So that's one good thing about filming these videos. It's got negatives for sure. We talked about it earlier, people finding your spots,
yeah,
but it has its positives too.
yeah. So Michael Bradley just put this up too, and this is actually kind of funny. So he said if I made videos, they would have to be 18 plus. I talked to myself, but dude, let me tell you, you've heard it. You've heard it in my videos, but if you actually watch really closely, you'll see my videos, and anybody who creates content will catch this for sure. There's a little flash. That's where I was like, fuck, or shit, or like, I
Dude,
literally will like cut that part because sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, depending on how many times. There's been times where I've said so many swears in a row that I felt like I needed to cut them all out, but there's
if you
been other times where I leave them in.
if you only knew the shit that we talk about behind the scenes,
Yeah.
even with
Oh yeah.
John and Alex, like I said, I think I said this last time on when I was on with the podcast or the group
Yep.
little thing. When John goes home, I'm telling you all, that guy's splashing down with holy water and
Yep.
asking God for forgiveness because that man is seriously like he don't cuss or nothing. And when he comes and hangs out with me and Alex, I'm not even gonna say it
Oh,
on here, but there's a scene in a river video where we're doing something, and it's so awful that what we were saying. And John catches a fish right in the middle of what we're saying, and it all had to be edited out. So,
yep.
dude, we cuss, we go on, we say everything just like every man could possibly say, if not
Absolutely.
worse. You just got to edit it out. Like I'm not even going now. I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say it, but I ain't saying it
It's
because
funny. So I've had so there was a video. I went fishing on a local reservoir, and I was like straight bitching these people out. So we went on this reservoir. I call them the bubble people. So there's this new thing. I don't know if it's new. It's just something I've noticed. They have this like balloon thing that they tie around their waist, and then
yep,
they
they
go
swim.
swim across the river.
Yeah,
Like they just they're
those are
swim.
yeah those are those people that are like distant swimmers, and I guess they use those so they don't fucking drown or something. I don't know.
So
We
what
have them
bugs
here
me
too.
about it is I saw these people, right? But they had a dog with them. The dog didn't have a life jacket. They're in the middle of a fucking reservoir in 80 feet of water, and the dog's swimming next to him, doing its goddamn best to stay above the water with no
Yeah,
life jacket. And I'm literally talking to my buddy in the back of the boat, going, "Look at these fucking morons. They should be put in fucking jail. This is fucking abuse." Like I was going off. In the video, what you hear is the bubble people. Look at the bubble people. Because
yeah.
I cut the rest of that shit out. And
You
I
can
was
edit
laughing at the end of it.
anything.
And you can edit really, really well where you watch that video and you go, I don't understand the bubble people. Like, literally, if you go back and watch my videos, guys, and you listen to that part, you'll hear me say, I don't understand the bubble people. It's really confusing to me. What you didn't hear before was me basically giving them every possible expletive I knew, but I cut all that down. And when you get good at editing, you can cover words up and you can do some fancy stuff with it. It's
Yeah,
you'd be surprised some of the shit that's
most of
said
us,
on
yeah,
camera.
most of we're all men, and we talk about crazy shit. And even John, like I said, you won't hear John cuss. You won't hear John go anything. But me and Alex or somebody else, my cousin Bubba is the worst. Kind of why we don't fish together no more because I can't edit that. It's so bad I can't even hardly
Yeah.
edit it. Dude, we went to the river and we probably had the best day of fishing we have ever had in our entire lives. It was unbelievable. Alabama rig catching like crazy, and I had to delete the video. I couldn't even post it.
Mommy's watching. You want to say hi? The puppy comes and checks on me throughout the episode. Pretty much on a schedule, about an hour at a time. Dude, yeah,
My
it's
dog's
nuts.
out
Like
back.
I've done so many like so, and sometimes I don't even edit it. Sometimes I just leave it in because sometimes you almost need it just to
I'll
show the
leave a
excitement.
bad word in every once in a while. Yeah, I'll leave something in there every once in
The
a while.
problem I worry about is not even YouTube. It's like, to be honest, it's like you were saying earlier, like the dream. Like, don't get me wrong, I never expect to be Creek Fishing Adventures level. Like that's not something that's even on my radar. But like being able to have a company want to work with me and maybe
That's
sponsor me
yes.
or give me baits, and if I'm constantly like swearing the whole time, it's not going to be a good image for that company that I
No,
represent.
that's
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So,
that's it. Yep.
and it's funny because
You
one of
might
the
not
things
make
that I
a
had to edit.
hundred. You might not make $100,000 a year from YouTube, but if you stick it out and you make good content and you post stuff, then you'll 100% have companies reach out to you. And if you
Yep.
don't reach out to them, you'd be surprised at how many companies, even if you've got 1,000 subscribers or 2,000 or 3,000 or whatever it may be, 20. There's companies that want to work with you, that will work with you. You just gotta you gotta be like Alex. You gotta be business oriented
Yep.
and fill them with some bullshit. I've got I've got 1,500 subscribers, but I've got 800,000 views. And there's this. Look at your
Mm-hmm.
analytics. I've got this many people in this many countries watching it. I've got this
Yep.
many people at this age watching it. Hit them with some bullshit and make it sound as good as possible. They'll be like, "Oh, I'll send you this." That's how
Yep.
you have to do those types of things, and you could get tons of free shit.
No, yeah, it's and that's the thing is like for me, it's like telling the story, doing all that stuff. Like I'm trying to build a community, so I have loyal fans that follow me, and it's crazy like the opportunities that it presents. Like me and you wouldn't be talking on the internet if I didn't like this right
Right?
here. Like you mean everything is meant to happen. Like for me, bass fishing started because my parents wanted to do a family camping trip, and my dad bought a kayak, and I took a kayak out, and I caught a bass, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
got a kayak, and then I wanted to make a video because we used to do the king salmon fishing thing, and we would go out on Lake Ontario in my dad's 25-foot boat, and he always wanted to like he would tell people what it was like, but you never could really tell the story because everybody just thought it was like fabricated. So I bought cheap ass little Cam Park GoPros and edited up a video, and I enjoyed doing it. So then I started recording more content, and now I don't leave my house without a video. Well, that led to me meeting a guy from a podcast, which then made me want to do a podcast, which now, has gotten me to talking to Alex Rudd and getting him to come on. And then like it's funny how like you just build all these weird relationships because you like fishing and you make content. It's the
How about
craziest weird little bubble.
how about me living right here in Tennessee and never really getting into fishing. Like I fish because we got that land, I got a little pond. And then now that I'm into fishing, really realizing what I've got around me fishing wise. And then I've got Alex Rudd that lives 25 minutes up the road. And then I've got John that lives right here. And like
Yep.
I'm right here with you. Justin, Kayak, no, what's his name? Kayak Catfish. You know what I'm
Yep.
talking about? Justin,
Yep.
Kayak Catfish. He's got more. He does more than John does. He
Yep.
fishes some of our bass tournaments. He lives right here
Yep.
too. He just messaged me the other day asking about how to fix his rudder. I've got like some huge content creators right here locally. So it's like, dude, it's crazy. Sometimes you got to like step out and be like, holy shit, was this meant to
Yep.
be? Am I supposed to be doing this? Maybe it is. I just kind of go with the flow and just let it happen. And like I said, here I am talking to you. I would have never been talking to you if it
Exactly.
wasn't for fishing. And I'm just winging it because I've only been bass fishing like this for 4 or 5 years, so I'm still
That's
relatively new.
good. I started really I've been fishing my whole life, right? But probably 2019, 2018 is when I really I took bass
That's
fishing
me.
serious in 2020.
Yeah, that's me.
The
100%.
the evil year, was the year that, really started it because I couldn't do anything else, so then I really doubled down on fishing. But what's crazy about fishing, and I think that's the thing that people miss on the whole content, is like people ask me, like I thing is I work in an office with like it's a tech company, right? So there's not a lot of redneck fishermen outdoorsy people there, and they don't understand it. So they'll be like, "Well, what are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, "I'm fishing." They're like, "Well, it's supposed to
What?
rain." I'm like, "That doesn't matter." They're like, "It's going to be windy." I'm like, "That's irrelevant." I'm like, "I was fine. I'll fish." The thing is I've gotten to the point now where I have lakes that I specifically fish because it's windy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have that database of like, oh yeah, it's a north wind at 15 miles an hour. I'm going there because the bass are always biting when that's a thing. And like when
We
you
got
do it enough, what's up?
Sorry, I cut you off. My bad. I just looked back. I was like, we got 26, 27 people on here. I think we had like, I
Dude,
looked at it earlier. We had like 4.
yeah, it jumps, dude. It's crazy. We had 40 at one point.
Really? That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
So vertical
Sorry,
live,
I
dude. I'm
completely
telling you,
cut you
it's a
off.
sneaky little
Completely cut you
no,
off. My bad.
no, dude. So that's actually kind of the proves my point though, is like from the content side, here's why I value you guys that are watching this live right now. Okay. So here's what it is. I go and freeze my ass off and get poured on and catch 3 fish, right? But I make a video and I watch my analytics and 50 people watch that video. To me, now granted, I obviously have had videos with way more views, but at the end of the day, I look at my stats and I go, 50 people wasted 20 minutes of their time watching my dumbass fish. And it feels like I have a fan base. Like I have people that are willing to stop what they're doing, take
You
time out of
do
their
though.
day, and watch me fish. And it's like
You
it
do.
gets me that much more encouraged to get back out there, make another video, make something that people want to watch. And it's crazy like how that snowballs into going to trade shows and meeting people. Like I actually went to my first trade show with these guys, with eBay. I was just helping. They literally gave me a vendor pass so I could go get in for free. That was the whole reason they gave me. They went down there, they gave me a pass, and I went down there. And I'm not the person to be like, yeah, I'm going to take the vendor pass. Thanks, see ya. I'm in their booth, like selling baits, talking to people, like helping them sell. That's how I operate. I'm not going to take it for free, you know. And what's crazy is I'm in Massachusetts. I'm 2.5 hours from my house, and I'm talking to some guy about baits, and somebody goes, "Hey, Binya," and I'm like, and this guy was from Vermont, and he walked over and shook my hand, and he's like, "Dude, I didn't realize you were gonna be here," and like they walked away, and like the guy I was with, Chris from AMA, he's like, "Who was that?" I'm like, "I have no idea. He must
dude.
watch my YouTube." Like
We
I'm
had,
like, I
yeah,
had that right there to me, and I hope I never lose that. Was
that's it.
the coolest fucking thing that has ever happened to me. That's better than any 5 pounder. That's better than any fish catch. Is somebody recognizing me from YouTube and coming over and wanting to say hi.
So
Like that's
I
the
remember
coolest shit ever.
dude, it's amazing. I remember going to our fishing show I guess probably 3 years ago or so, and it's the East Tennessee Fishing Show, so it's a really big show here. And walking around and seeing a couple people we knew that watched the YouTube channel, nothing crazy. We're just walking around recording. And then I started fishing the last couple of years. I started fishing for River Sports. So last year, I actually worked the booth. So I was being paid to be there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I met a lot of people. It was cool. Walked around with my buddy, walked around with John, Creek Fishing Adventures, watched him sign some autographs. And I had people come up to me, a bunch of people. But this year, I volunteered to work for River Sports at the show. I was there every day, hung out.
Yep.
Now that I've got near 8,000 subscribers, it was so amazing the growth from the first time I
Yep.
ever went to the show. I never even thought about it like that. To
Yep.
now having almost 8,000 subscribers, even 8,000 subscribers is nothing. That is nothing.
Yeah, it's
I've
small,
talked
but
to
it's a big
John and
deal.
Alex. Even John's like, that's really nothing. It's not, but it has its value. I had people come up to me ask for pictures this year, which was
Yep.
freaking
That's
incredible.
cool.
And walking around with John and still like going to the Mike Buka booth, the Buka bull shads, and the guy being like, "Oh, I've got 2 packages." Yeah, I've been blessed to be surrounded by John and Alex to see the stuff that they get to do and what
Yep.
YouTube is giving them. And I'm kind of like down here, like this little bitty person, but I'm
Yep.
kind of following along with them, and I'm blessed to be right here with them because I got to see it this year at the show for myself, dude. I probably talked to 50 or 60 people
Yep.
that watch my YouTube channel. Dude, I had an hour and 10-minute conversation at my booth that got so awkward multiple times where people come up to me and talk to me. And they stood there and like I'm helping volunteer at this booth, and I've got 2 people standing there talking to me for 45 minutes
Yep.
about fishing and stuff. And I'm just being cool talking to them. And then I see everybody else looking at me like, why is he over there talking? Because these people
Mhm.
watch my YouTube channel and they're talking to me, and I'm gonna talk to them. And then I had, like I said, 2 or 3 people ask me for pictures, which was amazing to me.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing ever. And like for me, it's one of those things where like I don't do it for fame, but it's really cool to like have people be like I said, there's a bunch of people in here that have like Scott Vermonter is one of the ones that I always mention. He actually bailed out earlier, but that dude will literally show up to my lives before I do.
It's
No
awesome.
joke.
That's it.
He will
Yeah.
show up
He said,
45 minutes before I do, and he always sends this like little emoji with like the eyeballs. And he'll send that before I'm even in the studio of
"Oh,
the
I saw
thing
that
to join
earlier."
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude's in there early. And it's crazy, like the people that follow me, like John Wilson is another one that had kind of just started following recently, and he is like there with every live, and he talks to me, and it's cool when like people reach out to you, and that's really honestly why I do this, because I want people to be able to like hit me up on Instagram and say, hey, I'm going fishing tomorrow, I need some advice like that. I'm all about that.
That's what it's all about.
And
Yeah. No, that's it.
And
We're
Alex
still
is one of
learning.
those guys.
We're still
I,
learning too. But there's always guys that don't know as much as you, and there's always
yep,
guys that know more. So there's guys that reach out to you, that reach out to me, asking
yep,
questions. But then there's guys that we reach out to, asking
yeah.
questions about. I
But
gotta
the
run
funny
to.
part is,
I gotta run to the bathroom one more time.
yep, no worries.
Be right back.
Maine, what's up,
We
buddy?
we've got almost 30 people in here.
26.
So 26.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
yeah. Dude, we are, yeah, I mean, we've been running for 2 hours and 44 minutes, dude. You, why are you getting on here so late? I'm not used to you jumping on so late. I mean, I know you see you staying up late because you keep me up. It's actually, let's say, actually, you know what, man? This is payback for all the nights, all the Mondays that you have kept me up late. Because there's some days, dude, where I follow your show and then I end up getting to bed a lot later than I planned on Mondays because I'm watching your live. So we're gonna call this payback for those. Dude, you would have loved the conversation earlier. You should go back and watch it. It's been a lot of like content creation stuff. It's been a lot about like basically everything. Straight ADD. Oh, you were live too? Dude, I didn't even realize you had a live. That sucks, dude. I didn't realize we were going to be doing it the same night. We should definitely coordinate that because our fans kind of both cross over. So the guy that just joined up Mainstream Fishing, he does a live on Mondays. And he's one of those guys that, like I was saying, like when I join on his live, a lot of the people that are in my shows are always in his too. So we're like always talking. And I've actually gotten to the point where I try not to like schedule lives on days that I know my buddies are doing them because I don't want to like step on their
Yeah, makes
time and
sense.
stuff. And it's funny, dude, the people that you said we asked people who, know more than us. To be honest, some of the people that I asked that know more than us are the guys that you fish with because I actually had hit up Alex a lot. Like more content questions than fishing questions, but a lot of times, like if I'm thinking about buying like a new camera or I need to ask a question about like content world, like I'll be like, hey, and that's what's really cool about Alex. Like Alex is really like approachable. Like when I'm granted, I don't know about in person because I've never met him in person, but like on Instagram, dude, he's never left me on red ever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's got. I'm
I mean,
sure
he's
his
kind of a
phone blows the
prick.
fuck up.
No, just kidding. No, Alex he's cool, man. He's we went and we did a trip. One of his videos a few trips ago, me and him went and floated the river. Not that long, a couple, maybe 3 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
one of my GoPros, my Hero 7, it's got some type of sensor or something. It's this one. It's got a sensor going out. And I got back to the house, and what we were going to do is we're going to like switch footage. I send him my catches. He sends me
Yep.
his. We put them. He does a
I,
video with both of us. Blah blah blah. My
yep.
footage was like so dark and black, and it was all black and white. And I was on the phone with him, and he some type of sensor that went out, and he was like, "Hey, I'm running these new cameras. I've got this Hero 10. If you want to come out here and pick it out." I've never been to Alex's house, so me and the kids drove out there the other day, and he handed me that Hero 10. But he's got chickens and roosters, and Alex
Yep.
was a school teacher, so he's good with kids, and he let the
Right.
kids run around. He went and got chicken feed out and handed the kids a bag of chicken feed and showed them how to feed their chickens and roosters and stuff. Man,
Yep.
really, Alex is a cool dude, man. So is John. Like I said, I'll say it a million times. I know those guys are living. I know Alex and John are thinking the same thing. They're in a reality where they're like, holy crap,
They're
I'm
living the
fishing.
dream. Yeah.
I'm doing this for a living. They realize it too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Those guys realize how blessed they are. And I
Yep.
also realize how blessed I am, even though, like I said, I'm nowhere on their level, but I'm blessed that I'm right here with those guys, and I'm one of the three amigos. There's three of us:
Yep.
John, Alex, and me. People comment all the time, like, "Dude, I love watching all y'all's videos when y'all are
Yep.
together." So I'm lucky that I got to be one of those guys locally that get to tag along with them.
Well, and that's what it is, dude. Like, so that sharing of videos thing, that's one of the things that's coolest about content creation when you do it with a buddy that also does it is like, I have a Google Drive with my buddy that comes down from Canada, my teammate for tournaments.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
what
what
we
we
do.
do.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
I actually paid for a bigger drive And that's what I do. I get home, and that's what's cool about it is like you call them up and you're like, hey, dude, listen, I need that one big smallmouth I caught. I didn't get a good angle. Did you get a good angle? And you'd be like, yeah. And then like that's what actually is really cool is you can kind of get those extra shots. And like we were doing ice fishing, which you probably wouldn't know much about, but basically like what was cool about the ice fishing stuff was what you guys can't see in the video was like, so one of us was usually basically we were taking turns on like when tip ups went off, and then basically it's like you sprint to it, catch the fish. But what you didn't see was as soon as like one of us went to go catch a fish, the other one immediately reached for a phone or a GoPro or whatever we had that could record, and then we're walking behind them like trying to get a good shot so that you could get that third person view. Like that's what's really cool when you fish with other people that do content is you'll turn around and you'll look up and they've got a camera ready to go. Like you know what I mean? Like those guys are, you know, if you have a camera behind you, like I know when I'm in my kayak a lot of times I'll spin my kayak around so the back cam is catching him reeling
Mm-hmm.
the fish in so I can get that shot. And it's really
Yeah.
cool when you do those collaborations with guys and then you just share, like you said, you share the, hey, did you
I
get
actually
that fish catch?
I bought this camera because of John and Alex.
Yeah.
It's a Canon M. I can't remember what it is, but
Yeah.
it's a nice camera. They both have this one, and I bought it because of them. But now that I did buy this camera, 90% of the time we're out on trips, they just pull out their iPhones, and I'm like over here like I'm like, damn it! I went and spent like $700 or $800, not $1,000 on this camera, which they
Yeah.
still use theirs. Alex will pull his out, do his intro and outro. But like if we're out on the river or we're on a little creek, he'll pull out his iPhone and record a lot of stuff from that. But I always have this with me because if Alex has a really cool catch or John, we can pull this out and I can get some footage of them, and then if I'll send it to them. And like you said, the
Yeah.
Google Drive thing Alex has.
Yep. Yeah, it's slick because you just like send them footage and then they send you footage and then it actually saved a couple of my videos. It saved my video because there was a couple of times where like my audio was awful because I was using a cheaper camera because we were ice fishing and it was cold and I didn't really want to use my
Yeah.
good camera and like I ended up like that's the other thing you can do with the right amount of editing is I edited his audio over my video.
Yep. See, I
So I cut
use
the audio out and like
yeah.
would slid his
So
audio into my video so it was better audio.
I use Windows Movie Maker, which is the
Yep.
lowest
Yeah,
freaking.
dude.
You can't even add
Wow.
audio over clips. Yeah, that's all I
Wow.
use. But I do
Really?
have. Hold on. Yeah, let me see. I also have Open Shot or something
Open
like that.
shot's good. I started with open shot.
I use that a little bit. I can actually put sound over some clips.
Yep.
I'll use it
Yep.
just for that. I'll save that clip and then I'll use Windows Movie Maker. Dude, I think Windows Movie Maker is the most basic video editing software out there
Been
there is,
around for
period.
a long time. So funny is
All I
fishing
use.
isn't
I
my
literally
first
use that.
video editing. So fishing wasn't my first video editing. So
Really.
I started actually my first video I edited was before YouTube was a thing.
Boom.
So video games, Xbox,
Mm-hmm.
Halo 3. I used to take my RCA cables out of my original the big Xbox, right? Used to take my
Yeah.
RCA cables out of that, run them into a DVD burner recorder, back to my TV, rip the file to a DVD, put that on my computer, edit that file, and I actually so me and my buddies used to play Halo. We used to do what we were called drunken Halo night. We would get hammered, play Halo, and trash talk all night, right? So I literally made montage videos with like music and everything from Halo footage and then mailed them all a DVD because there was no YouTube to share the files with. That's how I started video editing. That was a
Dude,
long time ago.
how long ago was that?
That was years ago. It was probably almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was about to say that was a long ass time ago.
And it
Oh,
was cobbed
shit.
as hell and I found some video editing software online that I ended up paying for that wasn't even that good and it wasn't anywhere like now dude, now compared to back when even when I first started, like editing software alone because of TikTok and all that has come like light years. But I
Yeah.
actually used Windows. The reason why I brought that up is I used Windows Movie Maker to make that video. That's how long that's been around.
Well, so I thought about buying a new laptop, and I started out when I very first started editing videos camping. My buddy edited the very first couple videos ever for me, and he used iMovie, and
Yep.
because he had a little MacBook, and then my granddad has a Apple desktop. So my buddy kind of gave me a quick little rundown on how to use iMovie, and then I started using my papa's computer doing
Yep.
some my older videos like 5 years ago. And then I got a laptop given to me, which is an HP, and it had Windows Movie Maker, and I started
Yep.
using that. And then that computer shut down, and I got another one that had Windows Movie Maker, so I started using that, and I've just used that. But I did see that I started to buy a new laptop recently because when I got that Hero 10 from Alex, this laptop wouldn't recognize. I mean,
Yeah.
I still set the GoPro Hero 10 in 1080p. I didn't
Right.
run 4K or 2K or any of that. It still wouldn't accept
Yeah. It
whatever
won't.
format that was. Yeah, I was like, "What? Are
Yep.
you kidding me?" So I started looking at new laptops. I was still going to go with I can figure out how to use iMovie again and probably get that dialed in, but I'm so used to Windows Movie Maker. I saw that the new HP laptops comes with Windows 11, which comes with a new, I guess, a newer version of Movie
Yep.
Maker where you can.
Yep.
So I've been kind of studying on that just in case I do make that upgrade on the laptop. I can use the new. I forget the name of it. It's a whatever that program is. It comes with Windows 11. So I've
Yep.
been kind of watching videos on that just in case I have to make the switch. That way I can start learning how to
And for
edit using that.
you guys watching, just understand that this dude is making all of his videos with a very basic like that. Everybody thinks that it takes a lot of expertise. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're flying drones and doing some of the stuff that Alex and John are doing, yeah, there's definitely some technical skills there. But you could make a fishing video.
I fly.
You don't need a lot.
I use my drone too. I use the
Yep.
same. I mean, I use Windows Movie Maker
Yep,
and
you
I
just
fly my
pieced it all
drone and
together.
everything. Yeah, it's all right there.
My
And
my editing is very basic in the sense of like I don't do a lot of B roll. I do a lot of B roll, but I don't like
I love
how to
B-roll.
word this. I cut stuff up. Like all editing is, people think it's more advanced than it is. It's literally cutting the shit out that you don't want and smashing it together.
Yeah, it's
At the
funny
end of the
because
day, that's all you're doing.
I have people comment on my videos. It's freaking hilarious to me. Like, dude, the damn they're like, man, the editing is getting good, dude. Like, this video is the best I've ever seen, and I'm like, I'm using
No.
Windows Movie Maker, dude.
Yep.
It's so simple. Like, I've gotten so good at it over the last few years using it that I can do some little shit. But I do, like I said, I do use OpenShot or whatever it was. Some
Yep. I started
I'll
with open shot.
so you may see some clips that are a little that I can't. There's some things I can't do with Movie Maker. I'll use that, and then I'll put it over
Yep.
in my video in Movie Maker and use it. So I definitely need to find a really good editing software that I can use and do better stuff with. But it works. What I do, John uses a really good editing software, and his videos I feel like editing wise ain't no better than mine. And I'm just
Probably
using
he's probably using
Windows.
Adobe
He's using. I mean, it's
Premiere
nothing
Pro.
crazy, but he's
Yeah.
still using a better software or
Yeah.
program. But mine, it gets the work done. I know how to use it, and I can run through and edit a video so fast, dude.
Dude, honestly, that's all it is. It comes down
Full
to
HD too.
how quickly you can edit it. It's not
Yeah,
about like it's a matter of and you learn tricks. Like I said, my big trick was something that I learned was I catch a fish, I hold the fish up to the camera, and sometimes I hold the fish not even for the video, but I'm trying to make a thumbnail. So sometimes I'll
yeah,
hold that fish up there and I'm holding it and I'm like get my body just right so I get that video so I can screenshot that later to make the thumbnail. And then when I release that fish, I yell out, stop recording. It stops my video. I start it back up. and then I start the next video with the last fish was the fish catch. I want to use that for middle part of the video.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like you do this live editing stuff, and then when you go back and watch it, you cut all that stuff down. You cut the shit out that you don't want. And sometimes, dude, honestly, I don't know how many times you've done this, but I've caught stuff that, like, one of the days I was fishing and I heard a splash behind me. And I looked and there was nothing there. And I kept fishing, did my whole day. And then I went back and looked at the footage, and I was just trying to find the spot where I caught the fish, and I didn't do that live edit part. So I was trying to figure out where that fish catch was. And I have, because I put a camera in front of me facing me, and then I have one behind me because I just like to like talk to the
Same way.
camera.
Yeah, same
And
way.
a fucking trout jumped out of the water to catch a dragonfly, and that's what the splash I heard was. But by the time I turned around, the fish had already landed back in the water. But I ended up
Yeah.
adding that into the video because you're just watching and you just see this thing come out of the water, come back down. But I didn't even catch it. I just
Yeah.
happened to have the camera in the right spot at the right time. And
Yeah, I
that's the
do
kind
that
of
all the
stuff
time.
that you can catch.
Yeah, I do that stuff all the time. If there's anything in the video that I could add, I add it.
Yep.
Gunshots, you know, things like that. So,
Yep.
and
So we've
all
been
kinds
going
of things.
for 3
A
hours
long
now.
time. Holy crap.
We've gone through 5 pee breaks, I think, is what the current tally is at. So he's
Was it
definitely
5?
getting.
No, it was like
I have no
3.
idea. Yeah, I'm just
I
making
think
a
it
number in
might.
my
No,
head.
it might have been. It might have been 5 though. I drank a 6-pack while we're sitting here, and I haven't had a
Nice.
beer. I haven't had a beer in like 3 weeks either. So the
Ooh,
only
yeah.
reason I had a beer is just we were on here tonight doing this
Yep.
live stream. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get me a couple beers. I mean, the YouTube
Relax.
channel is
Yep.
Massive Beer, so yeah,
Absolutely.
yep.
Yeah. You kind of almost have to do that as part of your trademark at this point, huh?
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
least
I
a couple.
literally I drank a 6-pack in 3 hours while we were sitting
It's
here.
so, you know what's funny is it's I know, so you were in on Daniel's podcast. This is why I wanted to have you on my show. Is it's
Yeah,
nothing against Daniel, but Daniel is very like, we're at an hour, we're done. Like he's very like,
yeah,
I want an hour and that's all he wants. I tend to do more marathon podcasts, and be honest, I don't
dude.
think anybody ever watches it after the fact because I tried to build this thing around, like, my thought process behind this whole live stream was doc talk. Like it's just two dudes that met at a boat ramp and
Dude,
just
yeah,
shoot the
no,
shit for
yeah.
3 hours.
I don't give a damn, dude. Like I said, I had the house by myself tonight. Yeah, that's it.
So,
That's why I
but
told
yeah,
you at
we
the beginning. You stop it when you're ready to stop it because I'll chit chat all night. I don't give a
and that
shit. And
we're gonna
if it was the opposite and I needed to get off, I would 100% let you know. But hey, man,
yep,
I got like 2 hours or an hour and a half. I gotta go.
yep. But yeah, no, definitely we'll have you back for sure. Like I said, I'm gonna be I do these twice a month for the most part. Unless I have somebody that like can come at a specific, like Alex, for example. If Alex is available on a certain day, then
Yeah,
I make an exception because I can get somebody like that on. But um I want to thank everyone who's come on here. To be honest, from what I've been seeing, we've had 25 to 30 people pretty much on average. It's dipped down to 3, 4, and then all of a sudden back up. But I'm gonna say this one might be a record for views. I'm gonna have to check my analytics later, but you guys clearly like Mr. Bassenbeer, so we will definitely get him on this show a bunch more this year, probably. And I just want to thank everybody that came along with us. I appreciate all of you guys for taking time to watch this 3-hour marathon of everything from content creation to talking about fucking drinking and partying. So it's probably been
yeah.
more content creation and random combo than fishing, but everybody seems to enjoy the
Yeah,
show. So
it went by fast. So
and if you guys haven't checked out his page, definitely do so. As always, I'm going to put his channel in the show notes. I'll put a link down there. I completely forgot to do it before the show started, but I'll put it down there. Check it out. Watch his channel. Subscribe to his. Let him grow a little bit bigger. Maybe get him over that 8,000. Get him up into the big boy range. And again, I want to thank you guys for coming along with me. And as always, let's get out there and catch more fish.